Bowl. I don't know how many people were locked into the Alamo Bowl, admittedly, but I was locked into the Alamo Bowl. I was locked in. I wanted to see it. I wanted to see Lincoln Riley. I wanted to see if he could get a big-time win. I'm very intrigued in the interconference matchup of the whole thing. Lincoln Riley could not get a big win, by the way. They could not. USC loses, and I watched that play over and over again just to see. I was like, surely he stepped out.
You'd think.
Surely the body control isn't that good. And then with every single replay, every single angle, just tiptoeing along the sideline into then nothing but green grass and to a win. That's how bowl games should finish. That's how bowl games are supposed to be. It's fun. You rag on the losing side a little bit. That's just more so because I don't like Lincoln Riley all that much, so I like ragging on Lincoln Riley. I love bowl season, Max. You know this because we work together on the college football stuff at SiriusXM.
Shout out.
It's been a down couple of years for the Bulls recently, but games like that are fun. The Pop-Tart Bowl that we saw this weekend, I'm sure Kevin got into a conversation about Pop-Tarts on Monday.
Not as much as you'd think.
Well, I guess there was a game, but
we weren't as Pop-Tart heavy, but should have been.
We love Pop-Tarts on this particular show. That's what I get the most feedback on.
Shout out Cookies and Cream for your noble sacrifice. You are
I'm a real champion.
Going
honestly.
up in the rafters.
For those that are unaware, we'll get to actual football stuff here in a minute. As an adult, when I moved out of my parents' house, I refused to own a toaster out of fear that I would indulge in Cookies and Cream Pop-Tarts too frequently. And I'm proud to let you know I have not had one in probably like 7 years.
Self-control.
So, I mean, that's just, and I have a toaster now because I have a wife and she's like, we're getting a toaster. You need to be an adult. And so we have a toaster.
So that's fair.
But I have not had a Cookies and Cream Pop-Tart. I'll tell you what, though, they got toasters here. If they would have put a Cookies and Cream Pop-Tart here, it would have been over. There's going to be a big topic of conversation. Welcome into the show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. I'll be here today and Friday. I'm off tomorrow, so I don't know who's in tomorrow. I think it's
we're all off tomorrow.
We're all off tomorrow. Max gets a vacation. Brian gets a vacation. Everybody's off tomorrow. Big conversation moving forward for Washington, thanks to a decision that was made inside the division.
Oh boy.
Should they not take a swing, make a phone call, and bring Trayvon Diggs into this operation moving forward? There's a lot of layers to this. I think the most important layer is to very clearly separate one Diggs brother is not the other Diggs brother. More on the other Diggs brother coming up in about 15 minutes. But the answer to that question of should they make a call is yes. Should they bring him in is a very different answer. And that's where we will line you up on the phone today at 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Should the Commanders bring in Trayvon Diggs in the defensive backfield? I have enjoyed watching Trayvon Diggs play football, mostly because when he plays against Terry McLaurin does a lot better than Trayvon Diggs does. One of my favorite things ever about Trayvon Diggs, well, there's two things. One, I called one of his high school games because he went to a school that traveled to play high school football games, and part of the traveling was to Lynchburg, Virginia, where I was in college, calling the local high school game. So I got to watch Trayvon Diggs in high school, and he like jumped over a guy to catch a touchdown. It was insane for a 17-year-old. I think he was 17. For a 17-year-old to do that. My second favorite Trayvon Diggs moment happens relatively frequently, if we are being honest, because it goes viral every offseason. When Cowboy fans will tweet out this video of Trayvon Diggs taking on Terry McLaurin, and they think they are doing something with the video. It's about 12 plays, and they say, look at how Trayvon Diggs is bodying Terry McLaurin. Look at how Trayvon Diggs is sunning Terry McLaurin, this, that, and everything else. And then you watch, and there's 2 plays of the 12 where Trayvon Diggs wins the rep. And then there's everything else, which is Terry McLaurin just winning and having terrible quarterback play to throw him the football. Trayvon Diggs is so actually tied to Washington when you sit there and think about it. If you just think about what he is and why he is the way that he is in terms of why he got the contract that he did and why people in Dallas think so highly of him, You can tie a lot of that back to the Commanders and to Washington. In fact, so much so that I literally made a list. I made a list last night. What are the connections that Trayvon Diggs positively has to Washington? That list starts the way you think it does. It's with Dan Quinn. Dan Quinn took over in 2021 of the Cowboys defense. Trayvon Diggs had 11 interceptions in 2021 of the Cowboys defense. And that is effectively what got him that massive contract that Dallas has now released him from. It was thanks largely to Dan Quinn. Also on that list is Joe Witt. Joe Witt has been Dan Quinn's right-hand man for a number of years. Trayvon Diggs has said on multiple occasions on Micah Parsons' podcast, because those two guys are boys, that they love Joe Witt and Dan Quinn. They love them. So you got those two guys on the top of the list of reasons that positively tie Trayvon Diggs to Washington. Third on that list, Max, are you buckled up?
Uh-oh.
Taylor Heineke.
Oh, no.
Because when I watched that video that I was just talking about, where Trayvon Diggs is matching up with Terry McLaurin, and Terry is winning 10 of the 12 reps in the video, the reason those reps are in the video is because Taylor Heineke was shortchanging Terry McLaurin on wins, and it was allowing Trayvon Diggs to come away with interceptions. You know the throw that I'm talking about. Yeah, if you're listening, you know the throw that I'm talking about, where Terry beats him to the outside, and he clearly beats him, and Heineke puts that bitch 4 yards inside, and Trayvon Diggs basically catches it like a punt, and you're like, what just happened? How did you not throw it to where your receiver was? So Taylor Heineke is on the list. Carson Wentz is on the list. Ron is on the list. Those are the positive ties to bring Trayvon Diggs here. Here is, though, the reason why this needs to be considered. Your defensive backfield sucks. I don't think that Trayvon Diggs is particularly excellent, but I don't think he sucks. I think he's not worth the money that Dallas paid him. But you're not giving him $97 million after he just got released in late December during the year if you were to sign him in 2026. You're getting way under market value, like way under market value. If that's what you're getting, I would be very interested in that.
If we were doing buy or sell, you'd be buying very low.
You're buying incredibly low on the Trayvon Diggs stock to the point where maybe you got to give him 12, 14, 15. If he picks up the phone and says, I want 20, you hang the phone up. Say, nope, we're not going to do that.
Ooh, thank you.
We are not going to do the 20 thing. We don't love the way that you've been playing recently. We can, buy into, to a certain extent, the idea of a new surrounding that could then elevate your game. We could buy into the idea of you are reuniting with one Dan Quinn and with Joe Witt, guys that got you and elevated you to a way that got you nearly $100 million. Like, there are some things that you could convince yourself of relatively easily to say this might be worth it at the right price. And if that price is right, then I would be interested in bringing Trayvon Diggs here, because what are the better options right now? You're not bringing Marshawn Lattimore back. Definitively. Dunzo. Gone. We have no idea where Mikey is going to play in 2026. He seems to play significantly better on the outside. Does not have the physical tools of the outside. So what's he going to do? I'm not suggesting, by the way, that you get rid of Mikey Sanders still, as much as I have poked some fun at the Emmanuel Forbes stuff in Los Angeles, because I think a lot of that is overplayed. He's having a fine year, yes. I hated the Rams social media for like the 2-week span where they constantly, oh, look at how good Emmanuel, like they were leaning into the bit a little bit. They knew what was happening.
Saints are doing the same thing with Chase, by the way.
They are doing the same thing with Chase. So the play that he made this weekend was crazy.
So sick.
I was like, oh, God, that looks like 2020 Chase Young all over again. But I don't buy into Emmanuel Forbes is now totally awesome. But he's definitely a usable guy to have in your defensive backfield. So because of that, I would not push Mikey Sanders still out. I would not do that. I'm not going to talk out of both sides of my mouth and lambast the organization for giving up on Emmanuel Forbes to then immediately do the same thing to Sanders. So I'm not going to do that. It's just a question of where is he going to play? Because you don't have the answer to that. Pretty confident that Trey Amos is going to be on one outside next year. Health concerns, yes, hopefully with a full offseason of NFL training, getting the body right, some of those can be, nullified moving forward. But you need another outside cornerback that you can definitively trust. And there are not a lot of great options. You're not going to be drafting a cornerback. You have too many other things that need to be filled on defense. And I would make the argument that if you fill the other things on defense, namely the edge rushers, then it doesn't matter as much. Hang with me here. It doesn't matter as much who is playing cornerback. That's why Emmanuel Forbes was having the success that he was in Los Angeles, because Jared Verse and Braden Fisk on the front four make life really easy when they can beat doubles and they can beat one-on-one matchups, and they're not giving the opposing quarterback something like 4.5 seconds to throw the way that it always looks like Washington is at this stage of the season. So you go get a Reuben Bain and Arvell Reese, a David Bailey, whoever it is in the draft. Maybe you get another guy to play opposite in free agency to get a nice rotation with those two players and Dorrance Armstrong. And then you're really cooking with some gas there. It makes it a lot easier to then stomach, all right, maybe Trayvon Diggs gets burned a little bit. Yeah, he might be a little bit of an interception merchant, though Washington has struggled with interceptions immensely over the last, 2 decades, it feels like. I could stomach getting Trayvon Diggs into the burgundy and gold if they do the other things right this offseason. And again, you're not paying the crazy top end value that Dallas did when they gave him that extension just a couple of years ago. Mind you, they did release him with the understanding that all of the guarantees were up in the contract. Like, he had no guaranteed money on the slate for 2026, 2027, or 2028, which is another reason why just we as fans need to be a little bit more critical of contracts. When you see a 5-year, $97 million deal, you're like, oh my God, this is a great deal. And then you watch Dallas literally cut the guy in 2 years, basically free of charge. I mean, they'll have a little bit of a hit, but it's not a massive hit. And they're getting away scot-free saying, we're good. I would make the call, though. If I'm Adam Peters, I'm picking up the phone. I'm talking to Dan Quinn, doing the due diligence, and I'm saying, hey, do you want to come play here in 2026? What would you do if you were in that position? 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Can't make it to the phones? You can hit me up on Twitter at the Denton Day. Would you want Trayvon Diggs in Washington in 2026? Your call's next. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in on the Team 980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. Happy New Year's Eve. I hope everyone is safe out there. Max, what are you doing for New Year's Eve?
Kind of up in the air, but we usually
you don't got to work tomorrow.
No, I don't. So I plan on drinking heavily. Where that will be, I'm not 100% sure. Probably my house, more than likely, but who knows? If I get a call, I get a call.
I mean, you got a plan. At worst case scenario, your current plan is good enough.
Exactly.
To enjoy the evening. Our topic of conversation right now is the future of Trayvon Diggs, and should he be here? Should he reunite with Dan Quinn, who took over the Cowboys defense in 2021 and got Trayvon Diggs 11 interceptions that year? Should he reunite with Joe Witt? Should he come now play for his hometown team and play for the franchise that gifted him most of those interceptions because of how bad the quarterback play has been over here since 20 years, but since before Jaden Daniels got drafted? 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Do you want Trayvon Diggs here in D.C.? Let's go to Fawad in Silver Spring. Fawad, what's going on?
Denton, my brother, how's it going, man?
I'm good, man.
Look, I love you. I love everybody at 980, man. We just got to do better. I mean, Trayvon Diggs, yeah. Like we, you know what I'm saying? It's like the dating pool. You know, you can't just jump at the first opportunity that presents itself. Somebody gets out of a relationship. Ooh, let me go and see what they got going on. And quite honestly, if all Adam Peters and DQ are going to do is bring in people, retreads that they've worked with, then you and I can be coach and GM and do it for a fraction of the cost. That's not that hard to just go through. Okay, who did I work with in San Francisco? Let me bring them in. Who did I work with in Dallas? Let me bring them in. That's not hard. We pay you guys to scout, to develop talent, to identify diamonds in the rough, to, you know what I'm saying, to bring into our team and actually build our roster. We have to demand better. Like, no, Trayvon Diggs, I don't want any part of Trayvon Diggs. Number one, he's been injured a lot. So he's going to be just like, we're going to be complaining, why are we paying all this money for a guy who's not on the field? He's going to be just like another version of Lattimore. And then when he plays, he hasn't been good over the last couple of years. So we just have to finally move on from like trying to just hop on a name. Like we're so in this fan base, this market, we just love names. Nah, we got to get out of that. And actually, if we want to build a roster like San Francisco has, that goes through hard work, that goes through talent, that goes through evaluation. And honestly, Adam Peters and DQ, they got their hands full, because 2026 is not going to be nice to them if they keep on doing how 2025 went.
What I appreciate is always, man, good to hear from you. I think that's a strong call. I enjoy the perspective that you have. I just don't think they have any other options. And that's where you run into the problem, because they're not going to be drafting defensive back. There's some good options at defensive back this year, but it's not like it's the deepest class in the world. There's much better edge guys, which is something to be very happy about if you're Washington moving forward. But I think the reuniting of Dan Quinn and Joe Witt with Trayvon Diggs is the very least enticing. If you got to give him a one-year deal, give him a one-year deal. I mean, for all I care, give him a prove-it deal. I don't love the mercenary thing, but if you want to give Trayvon Diggs a mercenary deal to see, hey, can you stay healthy? Can you actually play? I'm very open to that. He has not played well since Dan Quinn and Joe Witt left. That's a definitive fact. He has 2 interceptions in his last 20 games. So he's not been good since they left, but when they were there, he was a halfway decent player. Joe is in Springfield. Joe, what's up?
Hey, morning, Den. Happy New Year's Eve to you.
Happy New Year's Eve to you as well.
So, like you just said, and you just made a fair point there at the end, that Trayvon Diggs has not played well since Dan Quinn left the Cowboys. And technically, if you look at the Cowboys defense, it hasn't been good since Dan Quinn left as well. So I understand people are saying, well, look at the bad game against, Green Bay. But remember those 2 playoff games against San Francisco, it was a defensive battle because of Dan Quinn's defense that he had, including Trayvon Diggs playing well. So if he's available, go out and get him. I mean, at the same time, give him a one-year deal, see what happens. And at the same time, I'm going to bring his name up. I understand Max Crosby is frustrated in Vegas. Adam Peters, go spend. I mean, this defense is pathetic. You understand you have veterans like Bobby Wagner, who's given his all every single week. Von Miller's given his all every single week. How much longer are those two going to be on the field? So you got to get Trayvon Diggs, get Max Crosby, see what happens. You go at it. I mean, 2026, yes, injuries were the factor in 2025. I don't care what some of these people in the fan base say, but you got to go all in right now, because if Jaden is healthy, knock on wood, fingers crossed, all that, get it done. Okay, I understand that people are saying, "Oh, yeah, he's a Cowboy." So what? Go get him.
I don't care
This is
about
what we
that.
are.
If you're a good
So,
player, you're a
take care,
good
man.
player. Joe, appreciate it. I think that, he's a Cowboy thing goes out the window when your coach was the Cowboys defensive coordinator prior to taking this job. On the Diggs injury front, I mean, that's a legitimate cause of concern. He's played 8 games this year, has no interceptions, played 11 games in 2024, had 2 interceptions, played 2 games in 2023, had 1 interception. But then in 2022, he played 17 games and 16 games in 2021. 2021 is when he had 11 interceptions. That 2021 year made him a lot of money, like a lot of money. Like I need one of those years in my kind of life so I can make a lot of money. But I'm still interested just in seeing what he could bring to a defense that desperately needs help on the back end. Chad is in Nashville. Chad, what's up, man?
Dan, no, long time no talk, brother. Man, I have to say, I haven't talked to Kevin in a while, man. But this has been an awful year, my guy.
It's been tough. Not fun.
Dude, I think honestly, this might be one of the worst years of my football life, and this is because of last year. Like me, as I've said many times, 4th generation, my son freaking, new Redskins fan, and then all of a sudden, he gets spoiled by an NFC Championship game, and now he doesn't want to wear his hoodie to school. Come on, bro. I've dealt with this our whole life. You know what I'm saying? So that being said, let's talk about Diggs. I've always thought he's overrated. I got Cowboys fans that are friends of mine, real good close friends, and they've always talked about how Diggs owns Terry. I've always thought that, just like you did. Not true at all. I've always thought he didn't deserve the $90 million. That being said, where do you start on defense? You got to start somewhere. I don't even know where you would start. That, and also, as I told, as I was saying earlier, I think that we have to trust Adam. This is a red off season for me, red alert. And I know that's hard to say, but Adam Peters, he doesn't have a lot of draft picks. You need to either spend a crap ton of money, or you better turn that first round pick into a lot of other picks. And I don't see that happening either. The draft class doesn't seem that deep to me. You have to do something. Diggs, I ain't paying him high price. I think you have to do it low. But do we really trust right now for anybody to make that decision when we don't even know who our DC is going to be? Our DC was apparently the secondary coordinator at the Cowboys, and we got him as our defensive coordinator, and our secondary's been awful for 2 years. Yeah. So I don't know who to trust, honestly, when it comes to Diggs. Are we going to trust Dan Quinn, or are we going to trust Peters? I mean, well, you can tell me what you think. I don't care. I'm neutral on it either way. I'm going to be honest with you. If he does, he doesn't. It's all going to be up to Adam Peters. This is the off season. I think we're going to find out if Adam Peters is really cooking, or if he's working at McDonald's. You know what I'm saying?
Chad, I appreciate it. I love the play at the end there. You do bring up a really good point, though, that I had not mentioned, because I really hadn't thought of it, but it's a very good one. I don't know who the defensive coordinator is going to be next year. I guess I put myself in a corner by just assuming, well, Dan Quinn, it's going to be a Dan Quinn style of defense. I'm very open to it not, by the way. If they go get somebody and they say, hey, I'm going to run a completely different defense and we're going to make some personnel adjustments. I mean, listen, this is the year to do that, because you're not holding on to a lot of guys from this year to next year. So if you wanted to completely flip the defense, and I think the defensive backs have struggled the most with some of the decisions in scheme, because it feels like some of the guys played really well in man coverage versus some of the guys played really well in zone coverage. And then you were crossing the two, and you never want to cross streams. And it felt like they were crossing streams, and that was just a tough thing in the beginning portion of the season when everything was going to hell in a handbasket. So the defensive coordinator issue, I think, is a good one. And you got to figure that out before you make a decision on Trayvon Diggs. I don't anticipate that Trayvon Diggs is going to be joining a team for the postseason. I saw a little bit of that on social media. I don't really know why he would. I don't know if he's currently healthy enough to go and join a new team and join a new organization for a, potentially a 2-week run, because you got to ramp him up with your organization for this week. And then depending on who that organization is, if they don't have a bye, you then got to ramp them up and basically have them play for the playoff. And I can't imagine that a team that has a bye is going to want Trayvon Diggs right now. I just can't. Washington, the only reason this is being entertained from my perspective as it relates to Washington is because the defensive backfield sucks. And you are going to be moving a lot of the bodies out that have occupied spaces in 2025. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Should Washington take a swing on Trayvon Diggs after he got released from the Cowboys yesterday? Ryan is in Ashburn. Ryan, what's going on?
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
I just want to say something about the relationship between Diggs and DQ. I'm really starting to question DQ's how he evaluates talent because we got guys on the team that aren't going to be with us next year, and on defense, 3 of them were well past their prime, and I'm sure you know the 3 I'm talking about. But now you're going to hire a guy that can't. You're going to possibly bring in a guy who can't seem to stay healthy. It's another retread. We don't need retread. We need faster. We need a pass rusher, like you said earlier. We need a middle linebacker that can cover backs out of the backfield. When I watch these games, I just see I see our defense. We need a playmaker defensive back. We need a playmaker linebacker, and we need a playmaker pass rusher. Those are the 3 needs. And I kind of question Dan Quinn's continuing to go to the retread well because you're not getting any of the 3. And I think you got to have a young defensive coordinator who believes in pass rush and blitzing and all these other things that create turnovers.
Right.
That's my take. I'd like to hear yours.
Ryan, I appreciate it. So a couple things there. I do think that Dan Quinn and Joe would believe in a pass rush. I just don't think they can generate a pass rush. The retread is becoming one of my least favorite words. It's like this new buzzword across NFL fan bases. Everything is a retread if you don't draft a guy. Everything. Like, it's very easy to twist yourself into thinking, oh, this is just a retread, or, oh, hey, this guy was good here. We're just trying to see if he can, like, everything is a retread if you sign a guy in free agency, or at least 90% of things that you sign in free agency end up becoming what you could then classify as some sort of a retread. Bobby Wagner worked last year. He didn't work this year. I feel like that is a definitive, hey, he was an all-pro in 2024. He's shown some weaknesses in coverage in 2025. He should have never been in positions to be in coverage in 2025 at this stage of his career. But I don't know that makes Bobby Wagner a retread. I think that just makes him old and over the hill. And if he doesn't play a snap for Washington in 2026, it might be a little sad, but that means they're likely going with Jordan McGee, who I would like to see a little bit more of. I'm also fine that Bobby Wagner doesn't play a ton this weekend. Like, if we have seen the last of Bobby Wagner, that's okay with me. He had a good career. He's going to be a Hall of Famer, but he's over the hill. He's not a retread. I don't know that Trayvon Diggs is necessarily a retread with Marshawn Lattimore. I can understand you making the comparison because Lattimore was injured and Trayvon Diggs was injured, but I do think they're different players. And the connection with Dan Quinn is at least more to sink your teeth in than, hey, we just like this guy that's playing in New Orleans, and New Orleans is going to sell. Diggs is not the perfect answer. He's not a guy that you're going to give a massive contract to and hope that he's going to be your number 1 defensive back for years to come, but you don't have a lot of other options until you really develop Trey Amos. And I think what Ryan was getting at, he mentioned Dan Quinn evaluating talent. I believe he meant developing talent because, like, Dan Quinn isn't really doing a lot of evaluating. Adam Peters and the scouting department do the evaluating. Is then up to Dan Quinn and the coaching staff to then develop those guys to make them better players. And I would say that there's been a little bit of a development issue with some of the guys that we have seen on defense, hence taking as long as it did for Jordan McGee to get any sort of reasonable run on defense. And you can make that same argument for a couple of different guys on the defense as well. If you're on the line, stay there. We're going to continue this conversation at 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. You can tweet me as well at @TheDentonDay. Should Washington take a swing on Trayvon Diggs? Should he still be available this offseason? Your calls when we get back. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin.
All right, happy New Year's Eve, everybody. We start off with a little baseball. Former National Anthony Rendon and the Los Angeles Angels have restructured his contract so that both sides can move on in 2026. Rendon struggled to stay healthy following his departure from Washington, only playing 257 games on a 7-year, $245 million deal. Plus, yesterday, bad day to be a Diggs brother, as Trayvon Diggs was released by the Cowboys yesterday afternoon. He will be a free agent searching for a team to join prior to the playoffs. Plus, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs is facing assault and strangulation charges following an alleged incident with his personal chef over a lack of payment. Diggs' camp is denying the allegations. The Patriots have said in a statement, "We will continue to gather information and will fully cooperate with the appropriate authorities as the NFL as necessary, out of respect for all parties involved. And given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time." This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1. You can catch programs like Take Command and Denton's Office throughout all of football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. You can tweet me at the Denton Day. You can hop in on the phones at 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Our current conversation, should you sign Trayvon Diggs in 2026 if he is still available? We'll get back to the phones in a second. We're also on YouTube. Go to the Team 980. You can see my face. I put some makeup on today. That's a lie. I'm running on 4.5 hours of sleep because this new job keeps me up until like 3:30 in the morning. But you can connect with us in the chat on the YouTube, and we got a couple in there. My guy Rochelle Davis says, take Bailey or Bain at pick number 7 and spend money in free agency. I agree with this philosophy. I really like Ruben Bain. I really like David Bailey. I'd be interested in that.
I'm a little.
You're off on Bain?
Kevin and I talked about it off air. I think I might be.
Is it because of the arm length? It's not the size that matters. It's how you use them.
It's true. It is. But he bull rushes so much.
He does. The bag
is not deep.
Yeah, the bag is more bull rush than moves. But I'm hoping, like, my perfect world, whether it's Bain or Bailey, I happen to like Ruben Bain.
Mm-hmm.
If you
Very
keep
good.
Vaughn for another year,
Ooh.
and Vaughn has said on his podcast, I want to come back.
Yeah.
If you keep Von Miller for another year, you can then use Von Miller as a player coach to whoever, whether it's Bailey, Bain, if in some crazy stroke of luck, Arvell Reese is available wherever they pick, whoever it is, you could have them work with Von Miller, and then Von Miller could teach them a bunch of things.
Yeah,
right now, Von Miller is like a bridge to the next guy, but there's nobody on the other side of the bridge.
Yeah. It's kind of like the Bobby Wagner, Jordan McGee thing, except I hope Von Miller's not playing 98% of snaps.
That's an insane number.
It's
insane.
And Linnell and I had this discussion at the end of last season, praying that things would change. Nope.
The more things change, the more they stay the same.
They do.
Chike says in the chat, it's not necessarily retreads, it's reclamation projects. That is a much better way of describing Trayvon Diggs, reclamation, redemption, however you would want to describe that. I feel like that's way better than retread. And he says, no, don't sign Trayvon Diggs. The injuries. So the injuries that Trayvon Diggs has had is an ACL injury. I am a little bit more concerned on the injury front with the 2025 injuries because they're concussion related.
Mm-hmm.
And like the ACL, as much as an ACL injury sucks, an ACL injury is a relatively common thing in professional football. And because of the advancements in medication, you can still come back off of an ACL injury and be a competent and good football player. The lingering concussion thing is a problem. That's something that's dangerous. There have not been advancements in medical technology that can fix that as easily as you would like to be at in 2025. So that is way more concerning to me than any sort of knee injury that Trayvon Diggs had multiple years ago. Let's get back to the phones. 301-230-0980, 301-230-0980. Ian is on the line. Ian, what's up, man?
No, emphatic no. He's unprofessional. He's injury prone. And we had one of those guys in Lattimore, and it flamed out terribly. I understand your point of view that there's not a lot of options, but that doesn't mean you take bad options. Dallas is a bad defense, and yet they're getting rid of him. Tells me everything I need to know. That doesn't normally happen. And I think, look, I'm a fire Peters, fire Quinn. You got to reset everything type person. But
Stunning.
if you're going to bring Quinn back and bring Peters back, you have to explain to me what will be different in philosophy, approach, and execution next year. Obviously, I don't think you can bring a Dan Quinn philosophy defense back. Half the league is a Shanahan offense, and their troubles with that is well documented and well discussed. So something has to be different, and bringing back people who were good in 2021 or 2022 is just fool's gold, and it's Lattimore-esque all over again. Same thing with Bobby Wagner. It's like watching Luka Doncic play defense. They are hunting him when he's on the field. And so, to me, you can't – yes, Wagner's a Hall of Famer, or Diggs was great back then. You have to talk about what will be good tomorrow and the year after, not try these, I think, silly philosophies. So I'm an emphatic no.
I appreciate it. So we agree on a few things. We disagree on some other things. It's not surprising that you're a fire Quinn guy because I've been fielding calls from Ian for years. He hates Kyle Shanahan, and Shanahan has done nothing but put together a winning season. He just hasn't won the big one. I am not a fire Adam Peters or fire Dan Quinn guy. I'm not. It's year number 2. This year sucked for a lot of different reasons. I don't want to just become the Cleveland Browns. When you start to get rid of coaches without giving them too much time, you then become that, where they just recycle coaches. Nothing works. We're firing a guy after a year, firing a guy after 2 years. Nothing works. We don't need to be that. I do agree, though, that the Dan Quinn style of defense is maybe a little run its course. And as I had mentioned earlier, this is the perfect year to completely flip the defense in another direction. You're going to be moving on from a lot of the guys that are on this defense as it currently stands. I mean, I'm trying to think about this as I just go through my head here, Max. Dorrance Armstrong will be back. Javon Kinlaw will be back. Johnny Newton will likely be back. Not sold on Deron Payne. I would love Eddie Goldman to be back. I don't know. I don't know if Kevin's on the... I don't know if y'all are on the Eddie Goldman hype train, but I'm on the Eddie Goldman hype train.
No. We like Eddie. He's big gap stopper.
So I would bring Eddie Goldman back. Luvu's going to be back, though I hope Luvu plays way better in 2026. Amos is back. Sanderson's back. Will Harris is back. Everything else is pretty open. You'll bring McGee back. I think you elevate McGee. I'm thinking more starters than anything right now. So I'd elevate McGee into a much more important position on the defense. I'm good on Quan Martin. I mean, you want to talk about a disappointing player in 2025. I don't know that anybody's been more disappointing than him. Like, the Jaden stuff has been injury related, and a guy getting injured is not the most disappointing thing in the world. It's football. It's a gladiator sport. It happens. A guy being healthy, and in fact, healthier than he was in 2024 and being worse than he was, that sucks. So Quan Martin's going to be gone. I think there's a lot of issues on the defensive side. So I'm very much in favor of reflipping the defense, bringing in a guy that's a completely different style of coach, not running the classic like Dan Quinn style of defense. I'm in on that. Maybe Trayvon Diggs doesn't fit with whoever they bring on that. I'm nervous about this next call. When Mark called, I saw it on our VX thing, and the first thing I heard Max say was, "You weren't even listening." And then he had to explain to Mark that it was not Kevin that was in today, that it was me.
He thought Ben Standig was filling in, and then I said it was you. And he was like, "Oh, Denton's my buddy."
Well, let's see if we're still buddies after this. Mark, you're on the line. What's up, man?
Hey, how's that Brian Robinson deal that you talked about? You said it wasn't going to happen, Denton.
Told you he was going to start off topic.
Wait, the what?
My fault. I had to knee you with that. I know you wanted to talk about
Wait, I don't know. Wait, what is he? What do you mean the Brian Robinson thing? What are you talking about?
You said back in August when I called you during training camp, there was no way in the world they were going to get rid of Brian Robinson. I told you, I think you're losing your mind, and they got rid of him. So that's.
I think the context of that was prior to the season.
I do think the context is missed there, but that's fine. I'll take the L there.
Okay, no problem. Look, here's the deal. Trayvon Diggs. I'm gonna throw a question to you, then. Does he have more interceptions than Mike Sanderson?
In his career, yes. This year, no.
This year?
No.
This year. Okay. Why is it that we're always trying to push Mikey into the slot, which is clearly not his best position, and he plays better outside? Now, I get it. He's highly challenged. I get it. But with his aggression and his heart and his passion, you have to work to get – case in point. I would say if you're A.J. Brown, you would rather go up against Lattimore than to go up against Sanderson, because Sanderson's a pet. Sanderson's going to be difficult for him to deal with. The first game they went up against the Eagles last year, A.J. Brown didn't have such a great game, but the last 2 games, he was killing Marshawn Lattimore. And I just think that we got bigger fish to fry outside of the cornerback position. Now, if you're going to talk to me that Trayvon's going to convert to safety, maybe. But to be honest, they got bigger fish to fry here, man. And look, if I was Washington, I know they moved up to 6, and I don't know why nobody's talked about this. By the way, Philadelphia's resting their players. I figured I'd throw that out there. I know you were going to talk about that in the next break. Sports alert to Matt. They're resting most of their players for Sunday, so Watson could.
Oh, you stepped on my update. But yes, that is
But
per
anyway.
Jeff McClain.
But anyway, I would say this, then. If I was Washington, I think Pittsburgh's going to try to trade up for a first-round pick, and maybe you get a second-round pick. And if you go down to 17 or 18, you know who I would get? And I know this is going to sound crazy to everybody. I would get Peter Woods from Clemson, who is another Jalen Carter. If you compare him with Von Kinlaw, you would have a monster defensive tackle combination.
They'd have to trade back up. I don't think Peter Woods gets drafted outside of 12. Or I don't think he makes it outside of 12. I think he's going to be a top 12.
Well, let me ask you this. Would you take him at 8? I mean, I'll be very tempted because, look, I think if you bring Dietrich, you could bring Dietrich Wise back. You could bring him back.
I'm off on Dietrich Wise. Mark, I appreciate the call as always. I'm off on Dietrich Wise. I'm good there. I would not draft Peter Woods at 8. I think you're in a really tough spot. He's a great player. I mean, Clemson had a lot of issues this year in college football. It was mostly offense. Defensively, they were pretty good. Peter Woods is a really good player. I don't know that I would draft a defensive tackle at 8 when you need a legit stone cold pass rusher on the edge. And there are going to be options at that position available at 8, whether that be Ruben Bain or 7. Washington's floor right now is 7. That's the lowest they're going to go in the draft. They could potentially, depending on various different scenarios that get very complicated with strength of schedule and wins and all these different things. And now it's even more complicated because guys are being rested. Washington could jump up, I think, to 5. I think they're either going to be 5, 6, or 7.
Go Browns.
Go Browns. Woo, Shador Sanders.
Woohoo!
Big fan.
Perfect time.
I watched that entire game, by the way, this weekend.
Yeah.
Hoping that Myles Garrett was going to get the sack record. And instead, I just had to watch old-ass Aaron Rodgers and Shador Sanders have a Taylor Heineke throw of a touchdown to where safety literally tripped over himself.
It's real ball.
I mean, Lord have mercy. That was an awful football game. Go Browns. But anyway, I would not draft Peter Woods in that position. I think if you can get him in like a 17, 18, kind of similar to what happened with John Allen all those years ago, that would be a great spot. But you need edge rusher is priority 1, 2, and 3 for me. You have to get an edge rusher. If you look at all of the great teams, like look at Houston as an example, they have a great defense. They have a great edge rusher in Will Anderson. He is fantastic. And they got a bunch of other guys around him, but their bread and butter is getting after the quarterback. If you want to build a great defense, you get after the quarterback. And Washington right now does not have anyone that can do that. I would not draft Peter Woods at 7. I would not rely on Dietrich Wise coming back in 2026 after the kind of injury that he sustained and thinking that he is going to solve all the problems. Go get a badass on the edge. A couple more calls quickly here. 301-230-0980. Dave is in Raleigh. Dave, what's up?
Hey, guys. Good conversation here. I would not go after Diggs. I don't think it's not the injury history that concerns me. It's the fact that what I saw his grade on coverage since he returned from that injury has been among the worst in the league. So I don't think that you could get him on a bargain deal. So I just don't think he's a good quarterback. But beyond that, I think what you just said is right. They need a defensive end, and they actually need, I think, players at a lot of positions. I just want to pose this to you for your thoughts. I think that obviously if we could go after, obviously yesterday talk on getting Crosby, I think that we could Raiders need a quarterback. I think we could trade JD for Crosby, get 2 first-round picks, swap our first round, allows us to get Mendoza, prototypical pocket passer. And before everybody barks down my throat about he's not guaranteed.
Time out.
Yep.
You're talking about trading Jaden Daniels.
Yep. Can I tell you why?
Max Crosby.
Well, not just for Max Crosby, for 2 additional first-round picks and getting their first this year.
We're good. Thank you, Dave. I appreciate that. Did he say trade Jaden Daniels for Fernando Mendoza?
That's what I heard.
Did he just, like Fernando Mendoza, the quarterback at Indiana? Like that guy? For Jaden Daniels? Jaden Daniels took this team to the NFC Championship last year, right? Fernando Mendoza is a fine player. He's a fine player.
But he's fine.
He's fine. Is he the worst Heisman Trophy winner of the last decade? Sure. Yes, he is. He's a fine player. I am not trading Jaden Daniels for no damn Fernando Mendoza. There's not a single fiber of my being. Like, I've heard some trade things over the years, Max, where I was like, well, I could like maybe entertain an element of this. I am not trading Jane Daniels for no damn Fernando Mendoza. Fernando Mendoza can go have fun with the Jets, or maybe he'll go to the Raiders.
Enjoy Vegas, brother.
Enjoy Vegas. I am not trading Jane Daniels for no damn Fernando Mendoza. All right, when we get back, we'll continue the Diggs conversation, just not Trayvon. He had a bad day on Tuesday. He had a great day compared to his brother. I don't think you'll see Stephon Diggs again. I'll tell you why. It's Kevin Sheehan Show with Dente sitting in for Kevin on the Team 980. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. Eric Edholm, NFL.com, going to be with us in about 30 minutes. You'll hear Dan Quinn live from the podium in a little over an hour. That'll be at 12:25. In 20 minutes, my wife pulled off a heist yesterday, Max.
Oh, yeah?
I got to tell you about that. And she also taught me a valuable lesson in pulling off the heist. So that in 20 minutes. Got news yesterday that Stephon Diggs likely not going to play the rest of the year, maybe ever again in the NFL. Now, that part is speculating. What's not speculating, because this is reported and this is a legal filing, is that
there are reports from the police.
There are reports from the police. We have seen some text messages. Stephon Diggs is being investigated for assault and strangulation of a private chef that he hired. I read this story, Max.
Mm-hmm.
And I try and go into these very cautiously, because anytime you have a situation like this is a big deal, and you have to prepare yourself for what you're about to read and what you are about to learn about a particular person. And Stephon Diggs has, to me, always been. There's a viral video, and this video has aged like fine wine, from the Minnesota Vikings way back in the year, way back in the day.
Yes,
where they were going around the locker room and saying, what guy on the team do you not want to date your sister? And the resounding consensus,
overwhelming,
Stephon Diggs. And they ask him at the end, and he's confused. He's like, I'm really a good guy. And like at the time when that video was put out, I got the vibe of like, he's a playboy. Like, hey, he's a wide receiver. There's personality there. He's a good looking dude. He's tatted up. He got money. He's a playboy. And he might not be faithful to my sister. Like, so when that video came out, also it was fun in Minnesota. Yeah, might not. LOL. Look at me. But that felt like it was just, Diggs is a little bit of a wild boy.
Mm-hmm.
And we know his stories because we're teammates, and he communicates that with us. But then you get a story like this.
Well,
and you're like,
let's back it up.
Oh, Lord.
Because, like, getting... in response to that video, he got 25 different women pregnant?
That is a conservative number, it feels like.
Yeah.
I mean, Stephon Diggs has spent a good deal of time challenging Antonio Cromartie and Phillip Rivers for children. Just more the Antonio Cromartie route, where a lot of different people, including Cardi B, congratulations to them.
Got him one.
Might not be the best time to having these conversations congratulating them, because we found out that he had a child.
Congratulations on new life.
And
Woo-hoo.
Then he literally, when do we know when the child was born with Cardi B? It was like in November, like late November.
Yeah, late November. And then this incident happened allegedly like
a week later?
Very early December. It's like December 9th or something.
Like December 2nd. So like
around there.
Like a week later. So that's not great. If you have not, I will spare you like the dirtiest of the dirty details, because there's some stuff on there that I don't know how much we can actually say on radio.
Yeah, you can go read the police report.
But he effectively got into it with a private chef about money and compensation, which is usually how these things start. And at first it was just going back and forth on text. And then he walked into a room. I believe she had like an on-site room,
live-in chef.
A live-in chef.
From what I could surmise.
Diggs walks into the room, opens the door. It wasn't locked, but he opens the door, has a conversation. That conversation turns into physical.
It escalates
very quickly, a smack in the face that then he put basically a rear naked choke on. They can't say that in a police report. They have to like give you the description of the elbow on the neck and the bicep on he basically put him in her in a rear naked choke.
Allegedly.
And you read these allegedly, and you read these things and text messages and the reports and all of these different things. And you're like, well, that guy's never going to play again. Never.
But it's Stephon Diggs.
And the Patriots came out and said, hey, he says he's innocent. We're going to believe him, which you kind of have to do as an organization.
Yeah.
You can't like immediately come out there and be like, hey, the guy that we just paid $69 million to on a 3-year deal is actually wildly guilty, and we believe every single word of this. Like, you can't do that immediately. You have to rock with your guy. But he's not going to play again.
No.
And I'm actually very curious as to how Roger Goodell is going to handle this, because this is an ongoing investigation by both police and the NFL. Theoretically, could play this weekend if he wanted to. Now, I think the Patriots are going to join the ranks of a lot of teams in the NFL where they are just not going to play a bunch of their guys. There's no real need to, other than like small seating changes, but there's not a lot of positive for them to play their guys unless they just really want to cement the Drake May MVP thing. Which Drake May is going to win MVP. I've been like trying to tell myself he wasn't, but he is. He is going to win MVP. Thank you, Matthew Stafford, for completely taking the number 2 all over yourself on Monday Night Football. I'm just a Stafford guy, honestly. But there's not going to be a definitive end to the investigation by the time the playoffs start. So then Roger Goodell has to be the guy. Does he take the reporting at its word and say, we are not going to let Stephon Diggs play? We haven't seen video, which the NFL needs video. Ray Rice got a 2-game suspension. Then we saw video, and that dude was never heard from again. I don't know what Ray Rice is doing, but he's not playing football. They saw that video, and they're like, no. A video makes a big difference. It shouldn't, but it makes a big difference. Because there is no video here, I don't know how Roger Goodell is going to handle this. And there's a lot of pressure on him because that's a big-time name that everybody is very familiar with. Now they're familiar with him outside of just the realm of normal sports entertainment because he's married or in a relationship and has a child with Cardi B. So he now breaks into the pop culture side of things in a way that's very similar, though a smaller scale, to like your Travis Kelce's with Taylor Swift's, your Josh Allen's with Haley Steinfeld, and so on and so forth. He's now in that world as well. So you have those eyes on him, which, side note, not a funny situation, right? We can agree on that. Not a funny situation. With that said, there are going to be funny things that come from this situation, and by far the most hilarious thing that has ever come from athletes dating anyone that is in the public culture zeitgeist, your Taylor Swifts, your Haley Steinfelds, now your Cardi B's, is looking at, and I would encourage everybody to do this, reading entertainment reporters try and write about football. Because they have
it's a task.
No idea.
None.
Like the fewest amount of ideas possible. I can never get over the fact when Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift were like a year in, and Taylor Swift had, I think it was an award show or something. Like it was a big deal, award show. And they said Travis Kelce is not going to be at the award show. It was like on like a Wednesday, which is, in practice,
middle of the week.
Is like the middle of the week in New York City. And he obviously plays in Kansas City. You're like, he will not be there, but he is still committed to his, I think they said, they used some buzzword that I would never use to describe his obligations. I think it was his obligations with his Kansas City Chiefs in the NFL season. And I was like, yeah, it's Wednesday, bro. He has practice.
We're prepping for the Broncos. We're watching film today.
Like, you got a divisional game. It's December. You're not just going to New York because you're going to get engaged with Taylor Swift. So I'm gonna enjoy the hilarity of the entertainment reporters trying to report on this. But Roger Goodell needs to come down with some sort of an iron fist. But it's going to anger a lot of people because the NFLPA is going to say, we have no proof of this.
Yeah. Rocking a hard place. Glad I don't get paid $30 million to make the decision.
Roger Goodell gets more than $30 million.
Oh, trust me.
He got
kickback.
$42 million, private jet, health insurance for his family for life. Just a few things that were in one of his most recent contract extension. It's going to impact the Patriots, too, from just a football perspective. Like, if we can take away the, wow, Stephon Diggs might be an awful person thing away here. Stephon Diggs has had a pretty decent season for the MVP quarterback in Drake May and the New England Patriots. And when you take him away, I mean, he has under 1,000 yards, but he's knocking on the door of 1,000 yards. He has like 200 more yards than the next closest guy, which is Hunter Henry. But you take Stephon Diggs off of the field.
Well, those yards have come up in big moments, too.
Big-time moments. And you game plan to be aware of Stephon Diggs, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like, defenses, I know he's not in his prime, but you game plan to be aware of Stephon Diggs. If he's not going to be available anymore, now your game plan focuses on like Hunter Henry and DeMario Douglas and Kayshon Boutte and all these dudes who are fine players. But it's going to look a lot different.
Very much.
Like a lot different on offense.
Your spacing is all thrown off now.
All thrown off. Guys are going to be running, they're going to be in different positions in the play because someone now has to take the spot that Stephon Diggs is filling up from just like the route combos that you're running. So you got to practice all those sorts of things. I don't know how much Stephon Diggs is going to practice this week, if they're going to prepare, and then if they do prepare going into the postseason that they think Diggs is going to play, and then the rug gets pulled out from under him, you put yourself in a really tough spot if you were New England. And this is not the first time he's had an issue with them this offseason. There was the boat situation when he was with Cardi B and a lot of women who were in very little clothing.
And pink powdery substance.
And a pink powdery substance in a bag that was designed to conceal the color of the powder, which is, I went down a rabbit hole about that thing, Max.
Game is game.
Game is game. As I'm not a drug guy. I know I give the vibe. I've been told that I'm a drug guy. I'm not. So I learned about that kind of bag thanks to Stephon Diggs. Thank you that. He taught me that. This is just a bad situation, though, in the NFL, and he's not going to play. I would be stunned if Stephon Diggs plays another game in the NFL unless something comes out to where this is like categorically false and they have video and what she described happening was not what happened, and it just ends up being like this weird, totally off of the wall thing. I don't think he's going to play again. And now you're going to put, like, Drake May is going to have to go into a postseason that's relatively wide open. I mean, the Patriots, from an odds standpoint, they're very high up on the odds board in terms of teams that could win a championship. If you just watch them, Drake May has played really, really well, and he looks like, well, he's going to win MVP, but he looks like he is a legitimate franchise-changing quarterback. Well, now you're going to be without Stephon Diggs, and all of the good that has built up for the Patriots over the season is now going to be gonzo. And then Diggs, again, will probably not play in the NFL. There's going to be like some philanthropy stuff because he does camps around here. Like Cardi B was hanging out with Mike Loxley, which is like a hilarious photo because of an off-season camp that they ran at Maryland. You can't really do a Stephon Diggs camp anymore if there are allegations of him strangling somebody. Yeah, that one is not going to fly with the boosters, and I don't know that the University of Maryland is gonna love being associated with that. So a bad situation. We'll get more information as the days and weeks progress. All we have right now from the Patriots is we agree or we stand by Stephon Diggs in his statement of saying that he did not do anything. With that said, we will look into it more and we will go hand in hand with the NFL and how they want to handle that. So more information will come out. Eric Edholm is going to join us in about 15 minutes. We'll get his thoughts. Will Stephon Diggs play again this year in the NFL? Washington has a game with Philadelphia coming up this weekend. Not going to be the most exciting game in the world, but we will get Eric's take on that. I told you, my wife pulled off a heist yesterday, and she taught me a valuable lesson in the process. I don't know that I want to share it, to be honest, Max, but I will because I'm a great person, and I'll do it next. It's a Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. Eric Edholm in 11 minutes, NFL.com. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. You'll hear from Dan Quinn at the podium in about an hour. My wife pulled off what I would only describe as a heist yesterday, Max. Are you familiar with the Trans-Siberian Orchestra?
Yes, I am.
So they were in town yesterday, and we went to the 3 o'clock showing. They did 2 shows. It was a 3 and I think a 7:30. I don't care about the second show. I went to the first one. But we get to the first show, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this has become a little bit of a tradition in our relationship. I went for the first time last year. This is my second time, but this is the first time we went as a married couple. By the way, she pulled a fast one on me last year because she said, hey, we're going to go see the Trans-Siberian Orchestra.
Mm-hmm.
And I thinking, orchestra, sick, love that. And I get there thinking there's going to be maybe a bass,
nope,
cello,
no,
potentially a trumpet,
no,
a baritone, a little bit of Denton Day lore for you. Your boy played the baritone in middle school, so I have an affinity for classical music. People don't know this. I was a third chair baritone in my 7th grade band. There's 5 chairs, but I was third. And there was a big drop off from 1 and 2 to number 3. Let me tell you that. It was like Washington in 2024 to Washington now. And I was the now one. Like, it was a big drop off. But I like classical music. So I go into this thinking, oh, this is going to be like an orchestra, and that'll be sick. Like, one of my dreams is to see Hans Zimmer live. So, like, this will be sick. And the Trans-Siberian Orchestra is hair metal.
Mm-hmm.
Like, very, very different. So I enjoyed it last year. We wanted to go back. We went in Columbus. That's where she's from last year. We went, obviously, in Capital One yesterday. So we bought the tickets months ago when we were in not a financial bind, but we were paying off wedding debt, and we were trying to go on a trip for around Christmas. We ended up going to New York, which was about a week ago, 2 weeks, 10 days ago now at this point, last Monday. I guess that's, 10 days.
Yeah.
So we went to New York, and now this is an important point of the story, right? We went to New York for a day. It was great. We had coach tickets up, business class back. For whatever reason, business class coming back was cheaper than coach tickets on the train. So I was like, let's do business class coming back. I get a notification 24 hours before we leave, said, hey, do you want to bid on business class? You can pay $60, and if it goes through, like, you will get business class, or you could pay $200 right now. And I was like, let me just place the bid. It was one of those things where I didn't get charged unless I got the tickets.
Right.
Placed the bid, got the tickets. I was good. I was like, oh, sweet. This is what happens when you pay attention. You ask things. So we get up to our seats, and we do what most people do if you get there early. We go up to our seats and acknowledge that they exist because we got there like an hour early, and then we go get food. So we go get food, get some chicken tendies from Capital One. Very good. Thank you, Capital One, for that. They do this bit, though, where if you buy a bottle of water, they take the cap from you.
I don't like it.
I hate that bit.
They open your beer for you, make sure you can't bring 2.
Like, do you understand how steep the stairs are there?
Yeah.
And if you're holding food and multiple beverages with no cap, it's literally like, if I have a bottle right now, right? I would put this in my pocket and walk up something. The taking the cap off bit sucks.
Everyone is in the splash zone.
Everybody.
Not a soul is safe.
And I lost half the water because I put it down, took my coat off, waterfalls.
Oh.
And they do it so you don't shoot the bottle caps, which, to be fair, like, your boy was a nice shot on the bottle caps at a certain stage in life. But you know what I'm not doing? Shooting it from the 400 section.
Right.
Just insane. Anyway, so we get back to our seats. This is where problems start to arrive.
Uh-oh.
But this is where the heist begins.
Mm-hmm.
We get to our seats. There's somebody in my seat. And
that's a problem.
That's a problem, right? So we're like, hey, like, this is our seat. And he looks at us and he said, well, we can just wait to see if anybody else comes so I don't have to move. And I was like, no, you got to move. You got to move. This section is sold out. You got to move. He moves 1 seat over because his seat was 1 seat over. It's important to the story. Look, I am not jacked. I'm not like a muscle daddy over here.
But the seats are small up there.
The seats are small. And this dude was a larger individual. He was traveling. I don't know if it was like son, nephew. I don't know what the relationship was. Didn't really care. He's traveling with somebody who is also on the larger side. So they had given themselves a seat in between.
Yeah. So
they could spread. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Toby and I, whenever we go to Caps games, it's hard to sit next to Toby and I because we're both larger individuals. Like I said, the seats are tight.
Very small. So they move. We sit down. The individual that was in my seat how do I say this without being like a total prick? Did not prioritize personal hygiene and laundry.
Oh, no.
So I sit down, and I effectively sit down in a little bit of an odor.
Oh.
And I'm like, oh, no.
No, that night's ruined.
So we spill our water to sit down because of the moving, and it's too tight.
Yep.
So I'm already upset. And then I sit down and I realize, like, I am now entrenched in a smell
odor
that was brought by somebody else. And like, I'm not going to make a scene about it. I'm going to be a nice dude about it. But I'm sitting here and I'm like, this show is going to be like 2.5 hours.
Yeah, I'm locked in, man. There's not much I can do.
This is not going to be a fun experience. My wife sits down. We eat our chicken tenders. I sent her a text and I'm like, hey, like, I don't know that this is going to work for 2 hours. And she was like, I was thinking the same thing. So we tried some tricks. We had some hand sanitizer. I tried the trick the dentists use when they like get all up in your mouth where they put chapstick on their nose. So they smell like the minty chapstick instead of what's going on in your mouth. None of that worked. And I was like, this is not going to be good. This is going to suck. It's 2:55. The show is supposed to start at 3. My wife looks at me and she was like, do you want me to go ask to see if they can upgrade us? And I was like, that's a crazy question. Sure. What's the worst thing?
Why not?
What's the worst thing that's going to happen?
Why not?
We're like 5 minutes from the start of the show. We're looking down at the 100 section and I see seats available.
Yeah.
I'm like, surely they have like 2. We just need 2. We're not a full family. We just need 2. So she's like, let me go ask. And I was like, bet. She goes down to the usher. She says, hey, there's like a possibility. And she said, yeah, it actually is. It's first come, first serve, but you got to go down and you got to,
go to guest services.
You got to go to guest services in the box office and see what is there. And you might have to pay for the new ticket or like split the cost or whatever it is. And I texted her and I was like, split the cost. Like,
yes, worth the money.
Split the cost here. So she goes down to the box office. And keep in mind here, big brain over here. There's a reason she went down and not me.
Mm-hmm.
My bald ass would not have had success in doing what she just did. Beautiful woman had some success doing what she just did. She goes down. She's bubbly. She's polite. I don't think I've ever been described as bubbly before. Polite, yes. Bubbly, no. She goes down and talks to the box office. And I text her. I was like, give me the word. And I'm mobilizing. I'm getting down there. I have my coat. I have her coat.
Getting out of Dodge.
I'm getting out of Dodge. I sent her that text message. Lights go down. Show starts. And I'm like, oh no. Someone's show's about to get ruined because when my wife sends me the text, I'm getting up.
Mm-hmm.
And that means everyone else on the row, we're like dead in the middle of the row. And that means everybody else on the row is getting up because I'm getting out of here.
Yep.
I'm about to get upgraded. Like, I don't know about you guys, you peasants up here in the 400s. I'm about to get upgraded. She shoots me a text, says, come down. I was like, yes, here we go. We get to our seats. Buddy, let me tell you.
Oh, yeah?
I don't know what she said. I don't know. Like, the people in Cap 1
got the hookup
are just the most glorious of glorious people. Not only does she not have to pay, they like comped the tickets.
Oh,
we went from 409 or 410, whatever it was, row G to 3 rows from the floor.
Wow.
In what I could only describe as first class seats.
Yeah.
Like leg room. I could fully spread
extend
if I wanted. Because let me tell you, I was losing the spreading battle upstairs.
Yeah.
Like the man was just larger than me, and I haven't been squatting as much as I should have in recent weeks, months, years, whatever. The abductors are maybe not flying as they should.
It's also tough to force the issue, when you're in a battle like that.
It is.
Especially with a guy who smells.
A guy that is, having an issue there. And so we go down. And we are in first class seats, just first class seats. And I was like, I looked over and I was like, sweetie, like, what did you do to get these? And she's like, I literally just asked. And that's the moral of the story here. Just ask.
Just ask.
And we enjoyed the hell out of the show. They played some Beethoven, but like electric hair metal Beethoven.
All right, let's kick ass.
I don't know. It was my favorite part of the show. I was stank facing Beethoven. I was like, I've never been in a position. And again, like I like Beethoven. It was his 9th symphony. And then they kind of transitioned it into Ode to Joy. So it was like the full thing. I like me some Beethoven. I've never stank faced Beethoven before, but I was in my first class seat with my wife just stank face and some hair metal Beethoven. Like, damn.
You listened to Euphoria for the
I
first
was
time.
like, this is insane to me right now. I didn't know I needed this in my life. So that was an enjoyable experience. And the moral of the story is be crazy enough to ask for some things that you don't really deserve. Like, we didn't deserve those seats. We literally asked because the guy next to us smelled a little bit. And we're like, I can't do this for 2 hours. And we end up getting first class seats 3 rows from the floor, and where I can fully spread out and she can fully spread out. We can put our coats down. She dropped her phone, easy to pick right back up.
Not digging through. Like,
we had dropped a cap to lotion, and like she had to completely twist and contort the arm to get it down in.
I think you're trying to pull someone out of a vending machine.
God, I'm never going back to the 400s in Capital One.
You
Never.
can't. I can't do it anymore.
I just can't. And I should have. I don't have a ton of connections at Capital One in Monumental, but
I have connections with connections of people.
I could have like gotten good seats to begin with. I'm never going back. Moral of the story: ask for things, and things will come your way. Eric Edholm joins us next. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dente sitting in for Kevin.
All right, happy New Year's Eve, everybody. We're going to run through this real quick. Breaking news per Jeff McClain out of Philadelphia. The Eagles are expected to rest Jalen Hurts and most of their starters in the season finale versus the Commanders. Afraid of the Josh Johnson belt, the Eagles are. Some NFL coaching rumors swirling ahead of Week 18 and the ensuing Black Monday. Browns are eyeing Mike McDaniel if he is let go by the Dolphins, while Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski would be, quote, an ideal fit with the Giants, per Jeremy Fowler. Former National Anthony Rendon and the Angels have restructured his contract so both sides can move on in 2026. Rendon struggled to stay healthy following his departure from Washington, only playing in 257 games on a 7-year, $245 million deal. Plus, yesterday, a bad day to be a Diggs brother as Trayvon Diggs was released by the Cowboys yesterday afternoon. Plus, Patriots wide receiver Stephon Diggs is facing assault and strangulation charges following an alleged incident with his personal chef over a lack of payment. Diggs' camp is denying the allegations, and the Patriots have said in a statement, quote, we will continue to gather all information and will cooperate fully with the appropriate authorities and the NFL as necessary out of respect for all parties involved. And given that this is an ongoing legal matter, we will have no further comment at this time. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1. You can catch programs like Take Command in Denton's office throughout all of football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on a New Year's Eve. Happy New Year's Eve to everybody out there. Stay safe tonight. Joining us now, NFL.com, our guy Eric Edholm, kind enough to make some time for us on New Year's Eve. Eric, appreciate it as always. Hope you're doing well as we transition to 2026. I want to start with the Trayvon Diggs stuff, the easier of the topics with the Diggs brothers today. What was your reaction when you saw that he got released yesterday?
Yeah, I think, there was a little bit of sense of shock given his name value. It's the guy who was so among the interception leaders and in recent seasons and had been a playmaker at times for Dallas. I think his play had fallen off, but I don't think that obviously was the sole reason for it. I mean, the dispute over this travel arrangements he made from the last game at Washington, there was apparently a miscommunication over him not going back with the team. It was thought that he would. But again, I don't know that incident in and of itself was also the reason. I think it was an accumulation of things, some of which we may not know about yet. There may have been some behind the scenes stuff that's going to come out or maybe not. I don't know. But it feels like there was just a level of frustration with him and the team. I don't think there was anything untoward with it, but obviously Dallas has got to turn the page defensively in some way, right? We don't know about Matt Eberflus's status. We don't know how active they'll be in free agency or, what kind of major additions they'll be doing next year. But, I think this is one way to kind of reset the cornerback room, knowing it has to improve. But obviously, I think there were both football and non-football reasons for his release. Again, like you said, a surprise at this time of season.
Do you think that he's going to land with somebody for a championship race?
Well, he's still subject to the waiver wire, which is interesting. All veterans, whether they're vested or not this time of year, have to go through waivers. So you prevent, a bad team releasing a player and sort of gifting him to a playoff team. And the one team, obviously, that would make sense not in the playoff field would be Washington, given Dan Quinn's connection and given their need for more playmakers in the secondary. I don't know if it's a fit. I don't know what their relationship was like. So you certainly would have to watch that. That's a team that could get an early start on, helping itself for next year, robbing a division rival too. But for the playoff teams, I mean, you naturally would think, look, the Chicago Bears have Al Harris there. He's been getting a lot of credit for as the defensive back. Ben Johnson's name checked them several times, and having some experience with Diggs as well could certainly help. And they're a little thin in the secondary as well. So, that's a team to keep in mind. If he gets that far, he can also pass through waivers because of his contract situation. You'd have to pay him like $500,000 for this 1 week and stuff. And, some teams may not be willing to do that. So it's a fascinating wild card element as we're on the verge of the playoffs. You don't typically see this sort of situation come up. But, if he gets past some of these non-playoff teams, then it gets really interesting. And he also could sign with somebody once he clears waivers.
And then there's his brother, which is way less fun to talk about.
Yeah, I know.
Do you think he plays again this year?
I don't know. The NFL issued the statement saying we're gathering evidence. You've seen some instances in the past similar. I know it's hard to compare these situations with other allegations that have come up against guys, but we've seen kind of swift action at times where players are placed on the commissioner's exempt list if there's a preponderance of evidence or a real belief that something untoward happened and that, this is something they have to, in essence, shut down before, a team gets involved and says, oh, we're going to let the legal process play out. We're going to see how this goes and all that. Obviously, with the Patriots still technically fighting for a number one seed and, jockeying for playoff position with the Jaguars there and, very much in the thick of a wide open AFC playoff race. And Diggs has been a huge reason, that's what makes this story so concerning for New England. Obviously the accusations are of utmost importance and significance, but there's a football element to it as well. And so, yeah, I don't know. I mean, if we don't see something by the end of today or, I guess tomorrow with the commissioner's exempt list option at their disposal, it's possible he could play. We're also supposed to hear from Vrabel and, we'll hear reports about whether Diggs is at the facility or practicing. And, this is a coach of the year candidate who's obviously been put in a a tough spot with one of his key players, and we're going to have to see how he and the team respond here.
And it overshadows, as you mentioned, the run that they've had this year with Drake May potentially winning MVP. Do you think he will be hoisting the trophy at the end of the year?
I think if you just stacked his and Matthew Stafford's numbers, Stafford's are a little bit beefier in terms of the touchdown passes and the total number of yards and all that. And obviously May's running element, you can't ignore it. It's been a huge part of his game this year. He's gotten them out of trouble so many times. They failed twice on third downs last week. May bails him out on fourth down with his legs. That's just a snapshot of what he's done this year. But he's also played better down the stretch. Now, Stafford's been pretty darn good. You can't argue with anything he did against Seattle, but against Atlanta, that was his worst game of the season. So I think with voters' memories being as short as they can be, and recency bias and momentum and whatever you want to say, these games, as we get closer to the playoffs, carry extra weight. And we're going to remember these more than May struggling against the Steelers, the Raiders early in the season. Those have been long forgotten, right? They've been baked into whatever he's done this year. So I think there's a real shot. And again, it sort of felt like Stafford's award to lose, but I wonder if that Monday night game didn't kind of grease the wheels for him to lose it.
Eric at home with us, talking NFL on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. Are the Rams the team to beat in the NFC still?
Yeah. Fascinating question, right? I've been getting killed for my power rankings for dropping them. And the reason is as much, I had them at number one for I don't even know, 4 or 5 straight weeks or whatever it was. And, and the reason I dropped them so severely after if they stop a 2-point conversion in Seattle, all is forgiven, right? But they're not suddenly such a worse team. But I think Monday did expose some of the defensive concerns they have. If the pass rush isn't cooking, if they're not making plays in the backfield against the run, if they're tackling well up front, well, this is a forceful team to be reckoned with. We know what they can do offensively once they get Devontae back and Allard Jackson, and we'll see on Blake Corum and all that. But this is an explosive offense and a defensive team that has some firepower, but also some glaring weaknesses too. Secondary's been exposed a little bit. So, obviously Bijan had a massive game, and it's just hard to know. Are they going to be able to take the long road now, potentially going to Philly or to Chicago in the opening playoff game, and still be able to get out of it okay? Now, we've seen teams sort of barrel through some road games and get to a Super Bowl and even win it. So it's not unprecedented, but I think the field is stronger on the NFC side of the coin, and they're going to have tough games every single time out. In this year where nothing feels certain, I would say they have as good a chance as anybody, but again, the road's going to be pretty tricky.
So I'm looking at your power rankings now. You have Jacksonville up there at number 3, and boy,
Crazy.
The second half of the season they've had has been tremendous. Do you think that their ceiling is championship level good?
I don't know if this team is as good as the one that probably should have won the AFC Championship game at New England almost 10 years ago now. I think it was 2017, but it's one of the better teams they've had in franchise history. You have to kind of go back to some of those early Coughlin teams that made the AFC title game too. And, you're just seeing, like you said, what Liam Cohen's been able to coax out of this group with no Travis Hunter, by the way. He was sort of coming on before the injury, and they go out and get Jacoby Myers. Boy, what a move that was. He's been fantastic. Parker Washington stepped up. Etienne's been so consistent and so good this year. Trevor Lawrence playing like he did down the stretch in 2022. O-line holding up, defense stopping the run, opportunistic. It's just a great formula. Cam Little can make field goals from anywhere almost. So, they have strengths, I think, in all 3 phases. They may not be dominant defensively, but they can make plays on that side of the ball. And I'm fascinated. They and New England are kind of 2 teams that you just say, what's their true potential? Could they really get to a Super Bowl? Is it their year with, Buffalo a wild card and the Chiefs out of the mix and the Ravens potentially out of the mix? It's just one of those years where everything might line up perfectly, and you could have a first-year coach with either one of those teams ending up in the AFC Championship game.
Eric at home with us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin. Did you agree with the decision Buffalo made to go for 2 against Philadelphia?
They had it, didn't they?
Yeah.
That's a bad way to look at it, right? You have to make the decision beforehand. And I guess the conventional thinking, whatever that means, is you're at home, you tie it, you go to overtime, you like your chances, that sort of thing. But I also think on some level, Sean McDermott's thinking, how much more can I ask out of my defense? Right? I mean, they really played some terrific ball in the second half and even parts of the first half too. And just to be able to be in a position to potentially win the game there, I think they said, look, we've expended so much energy to score these last 2 touchdowns in the final 5 minutes. We have an opportunity to end this thing. Let's do it. Ugly as it may be, let's get out of here with a win. I didn't have a problem with the decision. There was a there was a play to be made for Josh Allen. He just missed it. If that play happens in the second quarter, nobody bats an eye. Just happened to be the final play. So I thought the decision was fine. Obviously, missing the extra point is one of those things that changes the math considerably. And I just ask this question all the time, like, when was the last time, maybe the Panthers game, where all 3 phases played well in the same game for Buffalo? I love their potential. Again, everything we've been talking about, wide open field, but I don't know if they have it this year, if they can't have more of those complete games.
Eric, I'll get you out of here on this one. The team they played, Philadelphia, it feels like there's a lot of us waiting. Oh, their offense will eventually get better and they'll figure things out. Are they past the point of repair, it feels like, on offense?
I think, like you look at that Dallas game a couple months ago where they explode for 3 touchdowns and then do nothing the rest of the game. And, even Buffalo, even Sunday, rather, when they look okay, functional in the first half and then completely inept in the second. It's just been too streaky, and it's been sort of an identity crisis. They can't run the football with the same effectiveness. Hurts has obviously been kind of hamstrung, but also has held his team back, I think, at times, whether it's not pulling the trigger, not taking those opportunities downfield, not using his legs as much. O-line, not the same group it was a year ago. The receiver situation, A.J. Brown and his drama this season, I think, has held the team back. And, they've had some guys in and out of the lineup too. But, yeah, I'm kind of thinking that it's what we've seen is more of what we should expect than the opposite. Now, if the defense can continue to play hero ball, it's been mostly terrific since the bye. I mean, there's really not too many warts on their resume since then defensively, but it's going to take special plays in the block kick game, the return game, special teams, but also on defense to give the offense a runway almost. Just score 17 points for us and we should be good. I know that's dangerous, but that's kind of the formula, I think.
Eric, appreciate it as always. Happy New Year's Eve. Yeah. Enjoy tonight. Maybe we'll do it again soon.
All right. Thanks, buddy. Good hearing your voice. See you, man.
That is Eric at HomeNFL.com joining us here on the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dente sitting in for Kevin. There's one point that I do want to make. I asked Eric about the going for 2 situation. I have been stunned this week on how many people thought that was not the right move. Everything in my logical brain said, you have Josh Allen, you just scored, and Philadelphia's offense is doo-doo. You go for it. And Allen just needs to make the throw, but I would make that decision 12 times out of 10. I don't care about no numbers. Like, I tend to think that I have a nice balance with analytics and understanding that football is just a game that is played on the field, and I like to use analytics to my advantage at times. But in that scenario, you have arguably the best player in the world, and you need 2 yards. I would take Josh Allen in that scenario 12 times out of 10. He just needs to make the throw. And I hope, for his sake, that was the one bad throw that he's going to make late in the season. I hope. Because if he makes a throw like that in a playoff game to cost them a playoff game, it is going to be a long offseason for him. Just make the throw, and you're good. Philadelphia is awful on offense. And what's going to be hilarious, they're resting their starters, as Max mentioned, and we'll get into this a little bit more coming up here. What if their offense is just excellent now that Jalen Hurts isn't playing? And Tanner McGee is actually like their savior. And they're paying $500 or whatever like $50 million a year to Jalen Hurts to sit up there and drop silly quotes at a press conference.
Some real conversations ready to be had in Philadelphia.
There are some real conversations that'll be ready to be had. We'll take a look at that game and what that means for Washington, with Philadelphia sitting a majority of their players. And then you'll hear from Dan Quinn in 20 minutes. He's at the podium. You will hear what he has to say about their final matchup of the year. And maybe we find out that Washington will give some young guys some better opportunities. I'm Denton Day. I'm sitting in for Kevin Sheehan on the Team 980. We got a college football playoff game today. Holla.
Phew. Finally.
Watching Iowa and Vanderbilt right now in the studio. Is Pavia playing in this game?
I was about to ask you that question. I don't think so.
Man, I
But
don't
wait, you know.
I don't give a damn about no damn Vanderbilt. He really did a number on his fan base with the Heisman stuff.
I mean, yeah, it was nothing short of controversial. That's for sure.
It was just so lousy. It was like not even fun. Like at least Manziel was fun.
Yeah, it felt, well, when you said lousy, like it kind of felt lazy too. It's like,
There's no inspiration behind it.
no, it really isn't. It's like, I really don't think you should have. I mean, you should have been in the conversation. You weren't going to win.
You were never gonna win. There's no SEC hype train that can make you win that thing. Like,
No.
chill out, bro.
Too many voters now.
There are too many voters. And I still don't have one. I'm upset about that.
We'll get you there.
I need to get one. I really do. Dan Quinn's going to talk in 20 minutes. I imagine he's going to be asked about Trayvon Diggs.
Oh, you would assume.
I would assume. I mean, what else are you asking about at this point in the season? Like it's hell in a handbasket. You're just trying to get. You're just trying to get to the end.
Coach?
God. I mean, what a professional best friend that guy is.
Oh,
I mean, he must reply on
Dude,
time. He must
immediately.
show up. He shows up probably 5 minutes early everywhere. I mean, this dude, he must be the reservation maker. His open table points are probably crazy.
I mean, we've known this about Sam since like he got drafted, or not. Sorry, since he signed as a UDFA on the team, and then him and Jaden's relationship, like they're two pals.
He is handsome and he is easy to get along with.
And that's really all you need to succeed in life.
Probably has great snacks. It really is, honestly. Got good hair. Must be nice.
Oh,
there's a lot of things that are good about Sam Hartman. Most of those are not on the football field.
None of them are
like
football related.
Not at all. The fact that they had to go get Jeff Driscoll. I mean, like, what is the point of keeping the guy around?
Welcome home, Jeff.
Hey, I mean, I miss Jeff Driscoll as much as anybody else did. A little bit of white lightning in those legs there.
That's right, baby.
Running back Jeff. But what is the point of keeping Sam Hartman around? Lord have mercy. Like, let the kid play or don't let him play. And if there's look, man, if they're going to trot Tanner McGee out there, Philadelphia, and if they're not going to try and win the football game, throw Sam Hartman's ass out there. Let's just see. Like, let's just see. We don't need to see 39-year-old Josh Johnson. I don't need to see Jeff Driscoll. Just see what Sam Hartman has. Give him some tape. If he is the best friend that he clearly is, you should do right by your friend and get him out there and get some tape. Like, what's the worst that's going to happen? You want to lose the game theoretically anyway. A win over Philadelphia does nothing for you. And as Max has mentioned in his updates, Philadelphia is resting a majority of their players. You're not going to see Jalen Hurts. I can't imagine. I don't know if you have the full list of names, Max.
There's no full list out. It's just the report has been Jalen Hurts and other starters. So I would assume that would be
basically
Hurts,
everybody.
Saquon Barkley, AJ Brown, and Devontae Smith at the very least.
Probably Dallas Goedert.
In all likelihood, yeah.
Probably Jalen Carter. You know, he's had some lingering issues injury-wise. Like, there's no point in putting those guys out there. And the Sam Hartman thing is really more concerned on, like, Jalen Carter. If Jalen Carter's not going to be out there, like, put Sam Hartman out there.
Yeah, why not?
Why not? Like, he's not going to get killed. Put Sam Hartman out there and just see what he has. And honestly, just see the arm strength. Because when he played in the preseason game,
did not look good.
The arm strength was a problem. And they kept him under the guise that the arm is going to get better. Because he had a shoulder issue, and that was well documented. We knew about the shoulder issue. They had been relatively upfront about it, and they were still on our good graces at that point. And they've been relatively upfront and said, we want to see how the shoulder looks and what that looks like. So they were honest in that. And then we saw the games, and the first one was like, oh, no. But hey, you know, injury, shoulder, they told us. And then the second one was like, oh, that's not any better. And then he goes sign Jeff Driscoll when it was clear that Sam Hartman could be playing soon. I want to see Sam Hartman. I just want to see anyone that I have not seen a lot of this year. If Philly's going to rest all the starters, I don't see why Washington should not be doing the same. If I'm Bobby Wagner. Why am I playing? Why? You played 98% of snaps. You've hit a tackle benchmark, which is awesome. Like, what do you, he's a couple tackles away from like 2,000, isn't he?
He's getting close. I'm not sure how close.
All right, Bobby Wagner's going to play then. He's close enough to the point where, and old enough to where I don't know if he's playing next year. So Bobby Wagner might be.
Oh, he's 5 tackles away. Yeah.
All right, he's playing. Never mind. We're going to see Bobby Wagner. He got to get. And honestly, as much as I would not like to see him, because I want to see Jordan McGee. It's not like a Bobby thing. It's just I want to see Jordan McGee, and I want to see Jordan McGee in a position to where he actually has to run some things and actually has to make some calls and be the middle linebacker. The second Bobby Wagner gets tackle 5. In fact, you know what? You give him 5.5.
Yeah.
Give him 5.5 just in case a faulty scorekeeper decides 2 hours after the game, actually, you know what? That was he loses half a tackle there. Give him 5.5 tackles. The second he gets 5.5 tackles, street clothes on the sideline. Get a nice parka. You know, it's cold up here on the East Coast. Get a parka. Get a beanie. You could stand next to Jaden Daniels. You guys could sit on a heated bench. That's it. Get the young guys out there. My biggest disappointment with the coaching staff this year in the late stages of the season, when we have been fully aware this season is not what we hoped it was going to be. My biggest frustration has been how they seemingly don't acknowledge it and don't make any differences. We are eliminated from the playoff contention. We're going to still run everybody out there. We're not going to make any moves that is going to put somebody in a new position to see what they would look like. Ali Cahoe, never heard of him. Kane Medrano, great on special teams. You're not going to see him a lot on defense. Why? You are not getting better at playing football in practice like that. The best way to get better as a young player is to actually play the football. The second he gets 5.5 tackles, out. If Frankie Louvu doesn't suit up, I'm fine. Put one of the UCLA guys in his spot. Get the young guys out onto the field. The problem is there's not a lot of young guys, so some of these guys are going to have to play. Quan Martin, you got to play, buddy. Sorry. Like this is going to be your last hurrah here in Washington. You got to play. Sanders still got to play. Jonathan Jones, buddy, we don't have any other bodies. Get your ass out there. Antonio Hamilton Sr., I was so mad when I found out he was 32. Oh, I have never been more upset about finding out the age of another man than when I found out in a bar that Antonio Hamilton Sr. was 32 years old.
This guy's going to be the future. Wait, he's what?
I was like, man, this guy's playing really well. Like, he might be back next year. Like, a young piece in the secondary to maybe get a bigger role. And then Linnell's like, he's been playing for 7 years. And I was like, looked up that age. I said 32. And I said some choice words in that particular bar that I cannot say on radio. Like, damn it, there goes the hope for 2026. It all rested on the shoulders of Antonio Hamilton Sr. So like the defensive backs are going to have to play. They have not done a great job, and this has been talked about at length. They have not done a great job of getting a lot of young guys out there. I want Jalen Lane running routes, like routes. I don't want him on the field for 19 snaps. I want him in the X. Put him on the outside, see what his routes look like. Put him on the inside, see what his routes look like. I don't need to see Chris Moore. I don't. I need the youth. I need Jalen Lane. Hell, you want to go get Ja'Cory Brooks? Remember him? When was the last time we talked about Ja'Cory Brooks on this show? It's been a minute, I'm sure.
I do have some bad news about Jalen Lane, though.
Okay, give it to me.
Injured reserve. Much like everyone else on this team, injured reserve. So whoever's not on injured reserve.
Who is not on injured reserve?
You got to pull up the list. It's a lengthy list.
Good Lord.
I saw the
How did I miss Jalen Lane going on injured reserve?
Well, when everybody else gets put on injured reserve, naturally something's going to slip through the cracks because that's been the story of the season, hasn't it?
God.
Yeah.
He was on injured reserve. Yeah, no,
there's like
my holiday brain is getting to me. I'm running on 4 hours of sleep.
Like 40 players injured and like 120 something missed games in total.
Oh, God, I'm looking at this massive list. Lord have mercy.
Yeah, it's lengthy.
Lane and Cosme and Goldman. So we better see a lot of Johnny Newton again. I actually thought Johnny Newton played okay on Christmas.
Yeah, good pass rusher.
Biotish, Lord have mercy.
Yep, Biotish just got put on there today.
Oh, my God.
It's bare bones.
Then you better put Ja'Cory Brooks out there.
Right?
I mean, what's Tay Martin up to? I know he's not the youngest cat in the world, but you better put some of the young dudes out there. Like, I am not trying to see right now the depth chart. God, this looks awful. Oh, my Lord. If you go, so I'm using the mothership. If you go to the mothership, that's ESPN for those that don't get the Dan Patrick bit there. If you go to ESPN, they have 3 healthy wide receivers that are currently on the active roster.
My favorite is all the like little signifying letters. Q, IR.
There's a lot of letters.
There's so many letters on here.
Like Mariota is questionable. Don't play him.
No.
Don't play him. Why would he play? Like, put Hartman in there. Sam Hartman is 4th string, which is just a hilarious thing. You get Ben Sinnott. Ben Sinnott's healthy. I'm okay with that. God, all these IRs on defense, too.
Yeah. And they're depth defenders, too, which is, like, even worse.
Even worse. You get Antonio Hamilton Sr., Jonathan Jones, Mikey Sanderstill. Those are currently the only healthy DB. Oh, and no I. There's 4 healthy cornerbacks on the roster right now.
Going to get a lot of Sheldon Day and Johnny Newton snaps this weekend.
Oh, Lord. How do you get excited for this at this point in the season?
You don't.
Like, we were so blessed last year that I forgot how much it sucks to go into the final game of the season when you're looking at like 3 healthy players that you actually want to watch.
It's the come down, man.
Oh my God. Thank God we get paid for this, right?
Yeah, very nice.
Oh Lord. Like, it's so bad I might charge double. That's
right?
a joke. That's a joke to the bosses. But this is going to be brutal. And it's not even like, at least in one capacity, if Philadelphia was playing everybody, like A.J. Brown, while I don't like him, he's fun to watch. Saquon Barkley is fun to watch. I don't like it when he,
especially when they start talking and then it gets real competitive.
Yeah, can we talk about that actually? Hold on.
Yeah, you got some thoughts?
I have some thoughts on that. I hated that bit.
Really?
Oh, I hated that bit.
You hated getting in the fight?
No. I like the jumping. I like that. Like, I like the jumping of the player. I thought that was great. Everybody came to the defense. Busted his head. Loved that element.
Mikey came up swinging.
Mikey, dog. I hated after when they're like, we'll see him again in 2 weeks. To do what? To do what? What are you going to do in 2 weeks? Your team is garbage. You're not going to be taking kneecaps out there. Like, the fight happened. They went for 2. Sirianni's a dope. You know that. Everybody is aware that he's a dope. Howie Roseman is carrying that organization, and Sirianni is basically just the bumbling son that is tasked with not screwing it up. I mean, Lord have mercy. And Dan Quinn, and it was like Dan Quinn and other players, a few other guys said it. We'll see him again in 2 weeks. What are you going to do? I hate when a team that sucks decides they want to fight a bunch. Like, where is the fight on the field? I'd love the jumping because that guy deserved it. And there's something about watching Mikey Sanderson take on guys that have like 50 or 60 pounds on him that is entertaining because he just does not quit. Pause. But he just does not quit. But I hated that bit where they're doing this like, we're so tough, we'll see him again soon. Oh, my God. Especially at that point of the season, because you knew like half of the guys that were on the field are not going to be on the field at that point of the year. Your Philly had basically wrapped up the division. I don't expect Dan Quinn to know all the analytics of their playoff seeding. That'd be kind of weird if he did. So I'll give him grace there. I hated that bit. Like, in terms of bits that suck, top bit that sucks, like worst bit in the world. Shirtless to prove you're not afraid of the cold. The worst.
Bad bit.
Sucks. It's never worked.
Well,
it's never worked. It's not intimidating. It's an awful bit.
It only works if you are a overweight man in the stands chugging beers. Aside from that, don't care.
But like the players, sucks. Someone did that in college last week. They did it on Saturday. UConn did it. You know who UConn played, Max? Just off the top of your head?
Yeah, I do actually.
Army.
The troops.
You're not intimidating Army by taking your shirt off in the cold.
They're going to laugh at you.
It's the worst bit of all time. The worst bit. Washington did that a couple weeks ago. I hated that. The next on the list is talking the big talk when you suck. We'll see him again in 2 weeks. Buddy, you're going to get steamrolled again in 2 weeks. Like, we are aware Sunday is not going to be all that fun. It's not. We just need to get through it. It's going to suck, steamroll through it, and then get ourselves into draft season and get ourselves latched back on to the idea of hope and 2026 being much more like 2024 and much more like 2025 was going to be. We'll see him again in 2 weeks. You'll see Tanner McGee in 2 weeks. Lord have mercy.
Yippee.
If Tanner McGee slices and dices this defense, man, give me Al Harris. I love Al Harris, by the way.
See, it's funny. I do too. A lot of turnovers. But at the same time, if we want somebody outside of Dan Quinn's tree,
yeah, that is
it's not Al Harris.
It is a Dan Quinn tree situation there. I just love pestering Bears fans. I found so much enjoyment in that.
They're stealing our bit,
year.
by the way.
Which one?
All just Bears fans stealing our winning close games. Quarterback
it's
looking
literally
electrifying.
Just,
The fumble and the Hail Mary, like just something magic about it.
There is something magic about that. I made a lot of Bears fans very upset this week on Twitter.
Oh no!
Oh, I made a lot of Bears fans really upset. I had to mute.
What you do now?
So when Caleb had that throw at the end where he missed,
yeah,
I tweeted a video and I said, "Hey, that's the same throw that Jaden made against the Saints. Jaden just did it better." And you would have thought that I was peeing on the grave of the Hallis family one by one, the way that they treated me. Little do they know, I tweeted that. I sent it out into the ether, and then I muted the conversation. I was like, I don't want any of this. I just want to make you upset, and I'm not going to do anything with it. All right, coming up next, Dan Quinn is going to be at the podium. We will see what he says if he is asked about Trayvon Diggs. I expect that he will be, so we'll get his thoughts on that and what to expect this weekend. Philly's resting a lot of their starters. I would imagine Washington follows suit. You'll hear from Dan Quinn live from Ashburn next. It's Kevin Sheehan Show with Den Day sitting in for Kevin. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin here on the Team 980. We'll go out to Ashburn in a matter of moments. Dan Quinn at the podium. He will speak about Sunday's game. We've learned this morning that Philadelphia, unsurprisingly, is going to be without a majority of their starters. They are holding them and sitting them to keep them healthy for what for them is going to be an attempt to repeat and win another championship. Hopefully they fail at that. So we'll toss it out to Dan Quinn. There's some stuff I want to touch on later as well, but we'll toss it out to Dan Quinn live from Ashburn.
Heading into today and for the week, like obviously this game doesn't have the magnitude that we hoped it would have when the schedule came out. But at the same time, we also recognize it's really important opportunity for a lot on our roster. And so we don't take that lightly. Additionally, we did place Tyler Biotic on IR today. He had a knee and an ankle injury in the last game. And so as a result, signed Julian Good-Jones. And so I want to give you as much of the injury update as I could. And two guys I think will be long shots not practicing today will be Marcus with his quad and Laramie with his oblique. So glad to open up to you guys as we get rocking, but I wanted to give you all the info I had before we got going.
What do you think for Marcus on Sunday?
I think it's doubtful as we sit today, John, but it's still Wednesday. And so, but with this quad, and if he can accelerate and stop and start and do those things, that would be a difference. He's not able to do that today. So let's see what the next 2 days bring.
I know like there's still one more game left, but you talked about the winning time moments the other day and just some frustration with that. Did you do anything different preparing with that this season that would lead to it? Or do you think some of that's just a natural drop off? If there was some, you know what I mean? Was it because you had a lot of success with it last year? What can you do?
We certainly emphasize it hard, and in some instances harder in some ways. But when you don't nail it, you want to dig deep, and certainly reflectively, I'll look back as we're looking at that about a number of other things as well, in all three phases. And how do we incorporate more, train more, doing that? It's such an important piece to what we're doing. And it's the kind of the essence of winning and losing, and these got to have it moments, how are you going to respond and play? And so it's like even in the meeting today to say that was part of the message of doing right longer when this finishing time comes, that you're able to go deliver.
Inside linebacker, when you're evaluating a guy like Jordan McGee, how do you know he's ready for that role since it comes with the added responsibilities,
right,
with the green dot?
Sure.
If he doesn't do it in game.
Yeah. The part that you want to do is like, how do you train somebody into that space? And some of it is in practice, you have, a number of them that can have it on. So they're hearing my communication. So what we would never want is on the first time you heard it like, oh, that's what Dan sounds like, or that's what it sounds like. And so you go through that process in the practice. So when he takes his reps in the practice, if he was with the second or the third group, it's the same exact process that I would do with Wags. Hey, this down and distance, remind this player, alert for this. So there's a little bit of directing that comes of it. Think if you were a quarterback in the huddle and you want to give one more reminder before you broke out to somebody, you would tell them that. That's sometimes what I'm telling that person to do into that spot. And then going in, you want to find out, did they do it in college and signals? And now it'll be different, I suppose, because that's been an additional thing that, they're doing that we haven't done before. But just the leading part of it, I think that's the big thing, the vocal part of it. And I mean, you have to be loud and rah-rah, but you have to be somebody that can take command, that can give information quickly. And not all linebackers can do that. There's been times where I've had safeties more into that space that in fact had the green dot. We've done it with the linebackers here, but other teams, I've done it with the safety having it as well.
What did you see from him in college that made you feel like he could take on that bigger role? And then what have you seen from him since?
Yeah, I think the traits I saw first as the ball player, number one, the speed, him being square at linebacker, his closing ability. Adam has a cool ranking service of like, as you get into this part of the draft, like who's the one person that you want on your team, and he asks all the scouts before the day even begins. And he was the first one of that group that like he said it. And so I thought that's a pretty good sign about the traits that were shown about him. It's harder to know in the process. Okay, I see him calling it, leading it, doing those things. But if you get on the board, you see his football acumen, then you could almost we'll develop him into that.
We've seen Brandon Coleman, start the season at left guard, but start the last couple of games at left tackle, and
yep.
As you said, Mike get another shot to do that this week. What have you seen? What sort of growth have you seen from him? And even though he's probably playing a position that wouldn't be there in the future, how do you kind of evaluate what his status might be for the team?
Yeah, we had a good talk. Yes, I'm glad you brought up Brandon about the timing and the information. And so he did start the first 2 games at left guard, and that timing's different. He missed a good bit of training camp in terms of the punch timing and where to go. And so then being out, Chris jumped in, and then we started moving me at other spots, including like a jumbo tight end. So I think what he's shown, and he's learned a lot here in year 2, one about himself, like this is a resilient guy that can, do a lot of things based on his athleticism. Him learning and going through the hard moments, it sucks when you're going through it, but it also, you gain some confidence knowing there's a number of things I can do. We saw him snap and pull in practice the other day, and said, makes it look easy, and that type of athleticism. But I think it's the resilience that he's shown this year when it hasn't gone right, that you still find the lessons in it.
I feel like we haven't talked about Duran a lot recently. How would you evaluate his season as a whole to this point?
Yeah, I'm not going to go all the way into later on, and we'll get plenty of time to hit onto that. But from the very beginning, Duran, I thought, really came in making his mark. From off season through training camp to go. I always feel his stoutness at the line of scrimmage, whether it's holding a double team, getting knocked back. He's got quickness and movement. So I've been pleased with a number of things I've seen from him.
Off the top, magnitude of this game, and had visions of this having more magnitude on the season. When the schedule came out, it sounds like Philly might rest a bunch of starters, including quarterback. If that's the case, is that another shot to the magnitude of this game, or does that change anything for you guys?
Not for us. By no means are we at full strength, nor are most teams in the NFL during week 18. But what I do love is the number of guys that are really hungry for this opportunity, chance to compete together. We had so many players miss time that they want a chance to express themselves and to prove it. And so when you miss games and stretches of games, man, you're hungry for that competition, you're hungry for that space. And so in our league, we practice way more than we play, and so they want to be able to go play, and I love that about our guys. So we had a hard battle with them 2 weeks ago, and I expect another hard battle Sunday, and that's kind of how I see it.
Hey, good afternoon, Coach.
Good afternoon.
I know you guys do everything you can to kind of keep every week the same, but context always matters, I think. And this week is obviously different for unfortunate reasons.
Yes.
How do you acknowledge that, or do you try not to acknowledge that and try to keep everything cookie cutter as you get to the end of the season?
I think it's fair to acknowledge it. Also, David, and acknowledge that it's different. But also the process that we have to go through to get ourselves completely ready, that has to be consistent. And so I wanted to talk about both the difficult part, that no team's the same year to year. And so for some players, opportunity to go do it together, that's a big deal. And a football brotherhood is different, and it's close, and they connect. And so I want to acknowledge that not every team's the same year to year, but of all the unseen work and long rehab times, of the things that go unseen, that's not unseen by me. I notice it, I see it, I like to acknowledge it, but it is different. But I just pushed him, man, let's throw a hell of a week and play in a style and a finish that we'd all really like. So that was really the messaging behind it.
Coach, just kind of based on that, when you see this team take the field for the final time this weekend, what do you envision that pregame message being to them?
Yeah, I think just honestly, the opportunity to go compete. This group has been hungry to go do that. And so there are some chances for others that are, here that weren't there earlier. And so I like seeing some of those guys taking their shot, making plays, doing things for themselves to express it. I also like seeing some of the guys who have come back, who missed time, and man, they're here to prove it. So I think there'll be a lot of excitement. There'll be, a good intensity about us, heading into it, but also, definitely bittersweet, because it didn't, go like we wanted to, but that's the circumstances, and you fight your way through it. And when you get a chance to compete together, man, you let it rip and go for it in a big way.
Hey, Dan, a lot of moments this season turning points as you were when Dorrance got hurt in week 7. That's kind of when the losing streak really kind of ramped up. How do you quantify the loss, losing him at that point? And then also, do you have any kind of rehab update for him?
Sure. Yeah. DA's he's such a unique player. He can play inside, he can play outside, and when we can feature him in different over different spots, that's when like he can really, come to life with his game. Rehab wise, he's doing well. And so he's here, he's putting in that work, with the training staff here. So I got a chance to visit with some just last week, for extended time. And so to see him doing this well, made me happy. Man, we definitely miss him. Guys like he and Wise provide totally different skill sets, but like a lot to our team. And so just being here and being around some of the guys, that helps quite a bit.
You emphasized pre-snap penalties before the season started. You seemed to be something that was a particular focus for you. You guys have struggled though in that area this year. What do you kind of make of that, from the emphasis to the execution?
Yeah, I would say it's between that and the turnover margin for us. I would say then those were the two ires, like that's not quite improved in the way that we need to play winning football. And so I get, and you've heard me say this before, I get when there's a physical foul and it's a grab, you don't like them, but I understand that's a quick call. I thought there was a call on Jeremy Reeves in the end zone the other day. He would do exactly like I would coach him to do, of hitting somebody through the strike zone with your shoulder, and you can still get called for a foul. Like that's just, like, man, the game goes fast. Like, how could anybody get every call right? But the ones that we can control at the line of scrimmage, that's a big deal. And we definitely harped on certain ones to go. And Brandon's had a couple in the last, couple games. So those are some things, man, like this, we have to get it right. We worked hard on the cadence piece. I thought, all right, got better. Then it went down again. And so it's like one of those things that like always needs the attention. And as far as the turnover margin, man, that one obviously is like the most disappointing one for us, the emphasis of how we want to go after it and take care of it. And that needs a lot of work.
Playing off the young guys, like when you talk about Jordan, how do you assess, like, for somebody with like a guy like King, you haven't seen that defense, to know when is he ready to go out there, and what is the harm in maybe putting him out there if you're not sure if he's ready?
Yeah. Yeah, I get the insight of the practice too. And the one thing that's been good, John, having a chance to make your mark, and you, and for those who've been around the league enough, like there's a development that goes in special teams that does carry over. And so for me, I've seen that take place for him, the physicality, the techniques. And so on the defensive side, I think he's got a unique skill set based on his speed and his length. And I just, it's interesting you brought him up. I had a meeting with him yesterday to say, like, you can make the play there and over there. I want you to really stretch yourself to see how far your range can go, because he's learned it. He's picking up things quickly. He's one of the first backups that would go into that space. And I like what we've seen. The development on special teams has been a big part of that, showing the willingness to learn it. But I thought linebacker wise, Ale is one, Kane's one, that are making their mark on that side that I think carries over onto the defensive side. Additionally, we put these guys in practice that are not part of just look teams, that they're getting meaningful reps, that they have to demonstrate that. And if they don't get any more of those reps. So it's like, show you got it, show you can develop. And I've been pleased with the two of them so far. All right. Thanks, everybody. Have a good one.
That is Dan Quinn live from Ashburn. A couple of really interesting comments that he made there, including at the end. A lot of us, myself included, have been asking, hey, where's Ali Cahoe? Where's Kane Medrano? He didn't outright say it, Max, but I don't feel like I'm reading too deep into the lines when he said we need to see it in practice before we see it in a game. So there's clearly something that is missing in the practice reps with those two guys that does not give them enough confidence to then put them into games. I'd still like to see that change coming up this weekend against a team that is going to play their backups, but at least that feels like a level of honesty that maybe we have not gotten this entire year when it comes to those two guys in particular, which makes sense. You're not, when there was stuff actually on the line, you were not asking about two UCLA linebackers. You just weren't. But now that there's nothing on the line, we would like to see them. I took a few notes from some of the other comments that Dan Quinn made I'll share those with you when we get back. Also, programming note, we're going to 1:30 today, so there's no Chris Russell. We got UVA and Virginia Tech basketball that'll take over at 1:30, so you get an extra 30 minutes of your boy. So we'll take some notes, or I'll share some of my notes that I had from Dan Quinn. In that final 30 minutes, we're talking college football stuff, man. We got college football playoff tonight. Kevin got a smell test that I'll give you as well. It's the Kevin Sheehan Show with Dente sitting in for Kevin.
All right, happy New Year's Eve, everybody. Breaking news per Jeff McClain out of Philadelphia. The Eagles expected to rest Jalen Hurts and most of their starters in the season finale versus Washington. Plus, Desmond Ridder is signing on to the Packers practice squad with Malik Willis and Jordan Love, both dealing with injuries for the Packers. NFL coaching rumors swirling ahead of Week 18 and the ensuing Black Monday. The Browns eyeing Mike McDaniel if he's let go by the Dolphins, while Browns head coach Kevin Stefanski would, quote, be an ideal fit, end quote, with the Giants, per Jeremy Fowler. Plus, former National Anthony Rendon and the Angels have restructured his contract so that both sides can move on in 2026. Rendon struggled to stay healthy following his departure from Washington, only playing 257 games on a 7-year, $245 million deal. This update is sponsored by the Team 980 YouTube page. Just open the app, type in the Team 980, hit subscribe. Kevin Sheehan is live every day from 10 to 1. You can catch programs like Take Command and Denton's Office throughout all of football season. Don't forget to hit the like button whenever you do decide to join us, and turn on notifications to stay up to date on all things DC sports. And that is what's trending.
cooking soda.
It's the Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin on this New Year's Eve. I hope everybody is safe and intelligent tonight. I'll be in on Friday as well as we lead up to the Philly game. Everyone off tomorrow. We love that. Max ain't got to come in. I ain't got to come in. Everybody off tomorrow.
Thank heavens.
Dan Quinn just spoke in Ashburn. A couple things that stood out. I think the biggest one is that Marcus Mariota is doubtful to play. Now, he did say that could change, but let's be honest. If your quarterback, who is a little bit on the older side, is doubtful on the Wednesday before a game that does not matter, that quarterback is not going to play in the game that doesn't matter. So Marcus Mariota is doubtful. He did not really allude to who is then getting a majority of the reps, whether that is Josh Johnson, Jeff Driscoll, Sam Hartman, if there's a split between two of them, if there's a split between three of them. So we didn't give that information. I would argue that if Marcus Mariota is not going to play, you also then don't really need Josh Johnson to play. You could have him as the emergency third. He's not playing to showcase anything for years to come. You know, he's enjoying his time here. I like Josh Johnson, but I don't really want to see him on the field. I think Sam Hartman or Jeff Driscoll should be getting a majority of the reps. It really should be Sam Hartman, but they told us what they thought about him when they signed Jeff Driscoll. So Jeff Driscoll should be getting a majority of the snaps, just to, I don't know, give us something new. The quarterback situation has been a disaster, but I don't really need to see Marcus or Josh Johnson. Give me someone different. I'm still in favor of seeing Sam Hartman, just to see. Just to see. I just want to see how it looks. He also mentioned Laramie Tunsil feeling like a long shot. That one makes sense. Injuries. That dude needs his money this offseason. So even if they were like, hey, we really want you to play, I think maybe Laramie Tunsil would be like, I ain't getting hurt before I'm getting a contract extension. We had a guy in Houston on when the trade happened, and kind of alluded. He's like,
sure did.
He likes his money. I can't blame him. I like my money too. So the more important stuff was the Jordan McGee stuff, I thought. And I wanted to hear about that. He did not get asked, Dan Quinn, about Trayvon Diggs. He did not get asked about Trayvon Diggs. Makes sense. I actually don't even know if he could comment on it either.
Yeah, he's got to clear waivers.
Yeah,
first.
So he couldn't comment on it. So that one makes sense. But he was asked about Jordan McGee. Nikki Javala hit him with two questions about Jordan McGee. And the thought is that we're going to see maybe a larger role for Jordan McGee. But one of the things that she had asked him about, Bobby Wagner wears the green dot. That's something that a lot of us are aware of. If Jordan McGee is going to fill in for Bobby Wagner, again, for me, 5.5 tackles for Bobby Wagner, get him to 2,000, get him out of there. If Bobby Wagner is going to, or if Jordan McGee is going to fill in for Bobby Wagner, he needs to get accustomed to hearing the communication that is on the green dot. I have not worn a helmet communicator before. I feel very comfortable firing at the hip and saying it's not exactly crystal clear. It's not nearly as crystal clear as the Always Free and Live Odyssey app. I can tell you that. It's not crystal clear. So you got to get used to and got accustomed to hearing the communication style for Dan Quinn, hearing it and then delivering it and making sure that everybody on the field is aware of what you're doing on defense. Quinn had mentioned that that's something they work on in practice, and then you just got to see that on the field. So I'm hoping that Bobby Wagner gets 5.5 tackles, get him out of there, and then put Jordan McGee in, and let's just see. Let's just see what it's going to look like. I'm not saying this is, benchmarking him as the starting middle linebacker in 2026. I just want to see what it's going to look like and see if there is something there or if that is going to join the CVS receipt style of list of things that you need to, as an organization, adjust going into 2026 and go get another middle linebacker. So I want to see Jordan McGee play really well. He also praised Brandon Coleman. Brandon Coleman's been doing a bunch of different stuff this year with filling in at different positions and then got hurt early. And Chris Paul filling in really good at the left guard spot. I would imagine you'll see Coleman at left tackle if Laramie Tunsil is not good to go. So not the most massively enlightening press conference from Dan Quinn, but on Wednesday, December 31st of 2025, rarely are you going to get any sort of bombshells. But I liked what he said about Jordan McGee. We just gotta see it. Oh, and then one other thing here in my notes. I don't know if you caught this, Max. This hit me. This was red flag up immediately. The one thing that Dan Quinn said that triggered me and got my attention. I'll share that with you when we get back. We got an extra 30 minutes here on the Kevin Sheehan Show. It's Dende sitting in for Kevin on the Team 980. It's Kevin Sheehan Show. Denton Day sitting in for Kevin on the Team 980. It's an extra 30 minutes. We're normally done at 1, and you hear the dulcet tones of one Chris Russell. No Chris Russell today. You get UVA and Virginia Tech and hoops in 27 minutes. So you get me for those 27 minutes. They didn't want to make Chris Russell drive an hour in to do 30 minutes of work to then drive an hour back.
He does have a Comrex, though.
He does, but we found out this morning that just because you have a Comrex does not mean it works.
That's true.
Perfectly, because
That
I
is
was
true.
not going to be in studio today. We'll just pull the curtain back a little bit. I don't know if
Behind
anyone
the scenes.
cares about this, but we're going to share it anyway. I was not supposed to be in studio today. I had ironically done Kevin's podcast in the morning. He had texted me last night. He said, "Hey, are you sitting in for me?" And I was like, "Yeah." And he was like, "Can you do my podcast too? Can I call you at 9?" And I was like, "Yeah, you can call me at 9."
In for a penny, in for a pound.
Yeah, so you get a lot of Denton Day on the Kevin Sheehan platform this week. So we talk college football. Wrap that up at about 9:37 or 9:35. And I'm like,
Something
all right,
like that,
sick. Like, let me, I was already connected at that point to our system, but we hadn't communicated down the line because I was doing Kevin's thing, right? So we talked down the line, and you're like, "Buddy, you sound awful." And I was like, "Hey, chill, easy." You're like, no, it's the technology. I was like, "Oh, thank you." I had some tea this morning. Anyway, the technology did not work. I had to haul ass. Thankfully, I live close enough to where finding out that the technology does not work 20 minutes before the show, I can still get here with a few minutes to spare. But let me tell you, I was racing up the stairs, and I also did not know if I'd be allowed in the building because I got terminated from Odyssey, like a little too much. I knew I was not going to be technically a full-time member of Odyssey with the BetMGM stuff coming to a close and the Westwood One stuff starting. By the way, myself and Linnell on overnights on Westwood One.
Hell yeah, baby.
Very nice 2 days so far. With that said, I got to bed at like 3:30 and woke up at 8 o'clock.
Are you guys going tonight?
Yeah, we are.
Woo!
Yeah, it's and there's another guy as well. So Linnell is Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday, and then Saturday and Sunday. And then the other guy, who's a guy by the name of Josh Graham, who is in North Carolina, is Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. So it's those two today.
Okay.
And kind of like a passing of baton.
Sure.
He does Thursday, Friday. Then he also does Saturday and Sunday. But Linnell does 1 to 4 Saturday and Sunday. And Josh Graham does 4 to 7 on Saturday and Sunday.
Dang.
Guess what? I work Saturday to Sunday. Not a damn thing. Nothing. I just do Fridays. I just do Monday through Friday. But you can hear that on our sister station on 106.7 The Fan. So if you wanted to hear Linnell and myself, you can listen to us that way. Anyway, so I had a haul ass over here. That's why Chris Russell's not coming today. That's why.
Credit to you, you made it though, with time to spare.
I did. I made it with some time to spare and stunned that my key card got into the building.
Hey, listen, still December 31st, 2025. That's
It is-
tomorrow.
Yeah, I guess tomorrow. Well, the reason I was stunned, I don't have access to my email.
Yes, I did know that.
I do not have access to my email because they deleted my email, which I was like, that's a little quick.
Yeah, a little
I was
fast.
like, that's a little speedy there. My bad, because I was getting emails on Sunday. And then I tried to log in on Monday, and it said username and password.
Brother.
And I was like, what do you
I do not
mean?
recall.
I was like, well, you don't exist here anymore. I was like, no, I still work here. I just work here on a part-time basis, not a full-time basis. Anyway, so there's something I wanted to get to that Dan Quinn said about Deron Payne. I'm going to do that in about 3 minutes. First, dog, what the hell is going on in New England? Oh, my
Yeah.
God. Stephon Diggs hit with some charges yesterday, or some, I guess, allegations yesterday about slapping and strangling a chef. And then an hour ago, Christian Barrymore makes headlines because he is being investigated for an assault that happened in like September. I think they took the idea of fighting this season a little too literally in New England. What are they doing up there? Barrymore got this huge contract, and from what I'm reading, and now there's far less details with the Barrymore thing than there is the Stephon Diggs stuff. The Diggs details are terrifying.
Mm-hmm.
There's far less details with the Christian Barrymore stuff. But he was in a relationship with the woman. I'm going to say was, because I don't think they're in a relationship anymore.
I would say it's safe to say probably
Yeah,
not.
probably not.
But who knows?
But he had just gotten a pretty massive contract.
Quite a big deal.
Like a pretty massive contract to come and join the New England Patriots.
He is their second highest cap hit.
And then number one is somebody on defense, yeah?
Nope.
No, somebody on offense? Is Stephon Diggs?
No, it's not. Mike on Winu, a $21 million cap hit.
Offensive line.
Yes.
But Diggs is also pretty high up on that list because he signed the cap hit might be a little bit
He's
smaller.
$8 million.
So 2 of their top 6 cap hits likely are not going to be good to go for the postseason. Because you could kind of make an argument if you were Roger Goodell that you can skate around the Diggs stuff. We don't have a video. We don't know what we don't know. We're going to let him play.
This has happened with this organization before.
But I feel like now that there was a second one, you really got to come down hard on this.
Yeah,
you got to be like, hold on. Like this is a trend. This is not an isolated incident anymore.
Fool me once, fool me twice.
Like I prefer
Some
not
eyes
to
on
get
you.
I prefer not to get fooled a third time. You know what I mean? Like this is a problem that is going on. Now, I don't know if Barrymore has any history of any other off the field stuff. Like with the Diggs stuff, he's constantly in the headlines because of the relationship with Cardi B, and he had the boat incident over Memorial Day weekend, which in and of itself is not, massively a problem. Like NFL players party with women on boats. Shocking, breaking news. But because it happened in a very small or a very dry section of the news cycle, that became big news. You then attach Cardi B to it, and that makes it even bigger news. So you have Diggs that's dealing with this. Now you got Barrymore that's dealing with this. The Patriots have to put out another statement. That sucks, putting out 2 statements in back-to-back days about very similar issues with 2 very important players. Because as good as they've been on offense, they've been pretty darn good on defense as well. And Christian Barrymore has had a good season so far. So that is not very good for New England.
You know what I feel bad for in all this?
Drake May.
Well, I was going to say the Patriots PR person, but yeah, sure. Drake May too.
I don't feel bad for the Patriots PR person. I feel bad for Drake May. You know what you're getting into as a PR person.
That's true.
Like you understand, hey, we don't want to do this, but we understand that this is an option that we can do. And Barrymore has played, as a defensive tackle. He's not racking up sacks. He has, 1 total sack on 12 total tackles, but he's taken up a lot of double teams on that interior. And defensively for New England, I mean, they're a pretty good defensive team this year. So not like prime New England defensive teams, but a pretty good one. Pivoting off of that entirely from one defensive tackle to another defensive tackle. Dan Quinn slipped today when he was asked about Daron Payne. Somebody asked him about Daron Payne. I should have had you cut this. I apologize. Somebody asked him about Daron Payne, about evaluating the season. And Dan Quinn said, I don't want to talk about what happens after the season. Or he said, I don't want to go down the road. And I was like, buddy, that question was not about down the road.
That's about right now.
That was just about like, hey, what do you think of him right now? Now, this is not a secret. We know that they are going to evaluate Daron Payne's future after this year, similar to what they did with John Allen, because Daron Payne is going to find himself financially in a similar position to John Allen, where it's a lot easier to move off of that contract. It would have sucked if you did it last offseason financially. It's a lot easier to do it this offseason financially. So that is going to be a conversation that needs to be had and will be had, but it feels like that is already being had right now. If that's at the front of Dan Quinn's mind, those are happening behind closed doors in some capacity.
I think they already know.
Or another. I agree with you. I do think that they already know, and I am not anticipating that he's going to be here next year.
I would not either.
I would not. Which in and of itself is fine. Like Daron's a good player. He's not a great player. He had a great season. He's a good player, fine player. I think he does things that he does some things that if he did them more consistently would be worthy of keeping him. The problem is the consistency is very much at a minimum when it comes to his game-changing, game-wrecking plays. Now, that one season, he did it a ton. And I had big hopes for him coming into this year, the same way that I had big hopes coming in to this year for just about everybody. But Deron Payne seemed a little bit more relaxed, a little bit more comfortable this offseason.
I think that's the right word.
You can make the assumption as to why on your own. But he seemed a little bit more comfortable this offseason, taking on a little bit of a bigger role, but being the veteran, understanding the system. And it just feels like the season, as it did for most people, just never really went the way that you thought it would for Deron Payne. Again, you would see moments, and then that's kind of it. Never games. Like, I can't point to one game and said that was a Deron game the way that I could when he had 11 and a half sacks a couple of years ago. That does then open up the void of who are they going to play alongside Javon Kinlaw, or are they going to do what I would like them to do, which is drastically overhaul the scheme of the defense, understanding that you are going to drastically overhaul the roster on defense, and maybe you go to a little bit more of a 3-4, pop Javon Kinlaw in that nose position, and then you can get two good edges, and then allow a Frankie Lulu or just literally anybody else to then come off of the edge from a blitzing standpoint as well. That way you limit the reliance on the nose tackles or the D tackles, because the Johnny Newton thing has not worked the way they thought it would. It just hasn't. I don't know that he fits great into a 3-4 scheme, but the reality is you are not about to hold off on a drastic overhaul on defense because a second-round pick 2 years ago doesn't fit the scheme.
Right. Like, if you're going to play nose, you got to be Eddie Goldman's size.
Eddie Goldman, Javon Kinlaw.
Yeah.
And
with
Kinlaw,
that
I feel like
quickness
would be fine.
Yeah, I think so too.
So I would be very intrigued if this is more so a sign of we're going to do a lot different. And it's looked like in recent weeks, they've kind of started to transition a little bit more to that. But at that point, it's more of just we need to finish the season. We're desperately hanging on and trying to get to the end of the season with a full off season of understanding this is what we want to do defensively. We have this piece and this piece and this piece. We got to go get a defensive coordinator. I'm okay separating from the Dan Quinn style. I don't know that means separating from the Dan Quinn tree, because I think you can be a part of a tree, a coaching tree, without running the exact same defense, right? Like if you look at all the Shanahan style offenses that have plagued Dan Quinn, they have similarities, but there are also some big time differences in the way that they handle things. Like Kyle Shanahan does not run the exact same offense that Sean McVay does, who does not run the exact same offense that LaFleur does, who does not run the exact same offense that McDaniel does, right? There's similarities between the four of their offenses and the styles, but they do a lot of things differently. This is me just trying to speak into existence the Al Harris thing, because Al Harris is a part of the Dan Quinn tree, but he can do it a little bit differently. And I would love it if he could come here and then maybe do things a little bit differently. Or they just say, forget this. We don't want anyone that's ever been associated with Dan Quinn. I'm going to branch out. I'm going to go get somebody that I've never coached with, that I know but never coached with, and I'm going to go do that, which is also a perfectly fine example. But I don't think Deron's going to be here next year. I think Dan Quinn just told us that in that statement. When we get back, college football playoff starts tonight. Miami, Ohio State. We get 3 tomorrow. I'm not going to be on air tomorrow, so we'll talk about those as well. And Kevin sent in a smell test pick. So you're going to get a pick from the big man when we get back to close up shop. It's a Kevin Sheehan Show with Dende sitting in for Kevin. We have a smell test pick from the big guy. He sent it on the bat phone to Max. Max has this very important, crucial piece of information. So we will share that with you in a second. We got college football playoff tonight, Ohio State and Miami. The smell test pick is involved in that game. I'll tell you this, Max. Kevin and I spoke about this morning. He is rooting for Miami. I don't know why he loves Miami the way that he loves Miami.
Fun school.
But he is rooting for Miami.
And also with the season that they've had, like, that's kind of an underdog story. They haven't really been at the top of the conversation. He also likes Carson Beck.
He does like Carson Beck. I cannot crack that code.
Yeah, I can't either.
I don't know what he sees in Carson Beck that he loves. I just don't. With that said, he does think Ohio State is going to win tonight. I think Ohio State is going to win tonight. But I do think that number of 9.5 that it currently sits at is very, 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 very large.
Mm-hmm.
And I am not laying 9.5 with Ohio State. Julian Sayin is a good quarterback. He is not a great quarterback. He was in the Heisman conversation because he was the best quarterback of the best team. When you get pressure on Julian Sayin, it does not look well.
No.
They scored 10 points against Indiana. Indiana's a good defense. There's no doubt about that. They're not like a hold Ohio State with a great quarterback to 10 points kind of a defense. That's on the quarterback. Miami is going to blitz their ass off at him and just completely stifle him. I hope that my long-lost uncle, Ryan Day, has a plan for what happens when they unleash Ruben Bain and when they unleash exotic pressure.
Mm-hmm.
Now, on the flip side, Miami can't score against Ohio State. There's not going to be able to. No one has been able to score against Ohio State. I mean, even the Heisman Trophy winning quarterback, Indiana Hoosiers, who are the number one team in the country, scored 13 against Ohio State. Nobody can score against them. That's why that number at 40.5 is as low as it is. It's far and away the lowest in the college football playoff games that are coming up today and tomorrow, which, by the way, I am a college football purist, and I love the Rose Bowl being played on January 1st. I love it. With that said, college football playoff games being played on Wednesday and Thursday suck.
It's bad.
It
Dan
is
Lanning hates it too.
Awful. Dan Lanning hates it. That's my head coach. Diehard Oregon fan. EST 2 months ago when I thought they were going to win the national championship. But just playing these games on a Wednesday and Thursday sucks. Now, thankfully, no one has to go into work tomorrow. And you might be able to not go into work on that January 2nd as well. I mean, great time for New Year's Eve for like the casual worker because you're not going to go in on Friday only. Like, you just get that whole week off.
The holiday calendar works out great.
Yeah, great for the 9-to-5ers.
Incredible.
But I hate that the games are on a Wednesday and a Thursday. Just put them on Saturday. Just put them on Saturday. It makes it so much easier for everybody involved. Yeah, you might have to go up against the NFL. Who gives a flying you-know-what? You're still going to do big-time numbers. Everything will be okay. I like Ohio State tonight. Jeremiah Smith, I think, is going to go crazy. We have a smell test pick from the big guy. He sent it to you on the bat phone.
The bat phone is Twitter.
The bat phone is Twitter. Oh, okay. I think it's bird phone. There you go.
There we go. Yeah.
X phone.
So you mentioned, I mean, you just said Julian Sain's going to have trouble against the edge pressure that Miami's going to be able to generate. And then at the same time, Ohio State's defense is lights out. They only gave up 13 to the number one team in the country. Under 40.5 is the
official pick from the man himself. Under 40.5 is a smell test for Kevin. If you're not a college football fan and you're just going to casually watch tonight,
just watch Ruben Bain.
Couple of players to lock in on. Ruben Bain is one of them. He plays for Miami on the defensive line. Trust me, you'll see him. Arvell Reese for Ohio State, likely going to be the first defensive end / edge linebacker drafted in the 2026 draft. Probably a pick behind Fernando Mendoza, assuming that Mendoza goes number 1.
Giants getting Arvell Reese is going to make me sick.
It's going to be terrifying with him and Brian Burns and Abdul Carter. Maybe they trade back, please. Start a prayer circle for the Giants to trade back. Caleb Downs at safety for Ohio State is a name that people are very attached to here in this city. I will tell you this. If they draft a safety over an edge guy, I'm going to throw up. I think it's idiotic. You got to go get an edge guy.
It'll be fine.
Please, for the love of God.
I'll be fine.
Carnell Tate at wide receiver is going to be an available option for Washington as well. Not in the top 10. The Carnell Tate bid would have to be a you trade back.
Mm-hmm.
and get him maybe around like 12, 13 sort of a deal. But Carnell Tate at wide receiver is very, very good. Great route tree. Not as good as Jeremiah Smith, for me personally at least, but Jeremiah Smith is not going to be around in the NFL draft this year. He has to play another year, and he will not be around in the NFL draft when you are picking in 2026, Lord willing, because that guy is at worst going number 3, probably number 1 or number 2, depending on what the quarterback situation is. Very quickly, I like Oregon to beat Texas Tech. I have Oregon winning the national championship. I have Dante Moore. I love watching Dante Moore play football. I am very upset at Oregon because they played the backups and then the backups to the backups against James Madison, and I had Oregon laying 20.5. Did not love that, but I love Oregon. This Texas Tech team is a fun team to watch, but they have red zone struggles, man. They're like 90th in the country in their red zone efficiency. You cannot do that against a great team and get away with it. You can do that against BYU and get away with it. You cannot do that against a great team and get away with it. So I like Oregon to beat Texas Tech. I'm going all favorites. I like Indiana over Alabama.
That's a mistake.
I like Georgia over Ole Miss. Once we start to see upsets in the college football playoff, I will start to treat it as such. But these teams are so good, man, and I just don't believe you. Are you on Bama?
I thought about it a little bit last week. It could happen. I'm not going to rule it out. That's for sure. But Indiana's defense is just
Indiana's
so good.
defense
It's
is
so good.
And John Mateer ain't playing quarterback for Indiana, which means they'll be able to score on Alabama's offense. Mateer just gave them some gifts in that first round in a way that Fernando Mendoza will not.
He's been doing that since the thumb surgery. I don't know.
I don't know what that thumb surgery is, man. He might need a new thumb after what we've seen at the end of the year, because the Mateer thing was, he was like a Heisman front runner, and then he just became a dud in the second half of the year, and Oklahoma's defense carried them. So I like Indiana, and I think Georgia is going to blow the doors off of Ole Miss. Kirby Smart beat Lane Kiffin. Ain't no Lane Kiffin there anymore. Kirby Smart is going to dance circles around that offensive coaching staff for Ole Miss. So I like Georgia. I got Georgia, Ohio State, Oregon, and Indiana advancing to the Final Four in the college football playoff. Everybody stay safe tonight. Enjoy the night. We'll be back on Friday. I've been Denton Day. That's my man, Mad Max. We'll see you then.